grilled boneless pork chops, and crab stuffed shrimp. Plus, all appetizers and desserts are 20% off. Don't forget, Hamburger Friday every Friday from 11 to 2. It's the best. The Butcher Shop, always a Memphis tradition. Call 901-757-4244, 901-757-4244 for more information, or just stop in at 107 South Germantown Parkway in Cordova.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Sports Time with Wolo and Stacks. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin and Brett Stotts Norsworthy.
Good Thursday afternoon on this January 9th, 2020. First time I did that all year. Wrote down the wrong year, Drew. Can't believe that. First mistake of the year. January 9th, 2020. We welcome you in. Dave Woloshin on the road with the Tigers. Where tonight at 6 o'clock tip against Wichita State in Wichita. We go there. Of course, we know of the breaking news. Today we will get to Mike Leach and the hire by Mississippi State. But while we have Dave and we only have him briefly, we want to go to Wichita and get the latest on the Tigers preparing to play Wichita State in the first road game of the year in conference play, second overall conference game of the year. And Dave, in the preseason, the prospect of a 2-game losing streak never entered my mind. And at the end of the night, that could be the case for the Tigers. But with DJ Jeffries back and everybody feeling better, could end that 1-game losing streak and start a new streak tonight. Good afternoon, Dave.
Good afternoon. Sure, it could end tonight. I think we didn't think of a 2-game losing streak because you didn't think you'd lose to Georgia at the very beginning of the year. You thought you'd have James Wiseman around for all these games as well. So that is not the way it was. It was an interesting shoot-around today, and I've been to a whole bunch of them throughout my career. And I've seen plenty in a bunch of shoot-arounds, and the majority of the time spent today was almost exclusively on defense. I mean, they drilled, and they have a couple of new wrinkles they will throw in tonight, and it will be interesting. So this is going to be terrific. The atmosphere will be as good as the Tennessee game, if not even better. This is the first time in a couple of years where both conference teams as AAC teams will be playing one another in a home game for Wichita State. It's really only the 6th game since the redo of Koch Arena that there is 2 ranked teams playing in the same game here in Wichita. They're unbelievable here. Since the redo, it's the 64th year of this arena, but since the redo, they're 221-40. So they don't lose here. And, you know, Memphis is sort of reeling, I think, mentally as well as physically. I will let you know both Damian Baugh and DJ Jeffries, who, not oddly enough, are roommates. So they each gave each other the flu. They both practiced today. It looked to me like DJ was a little bit more in step than maybe Damian. I think Damian's still going to start, though. So we shall see. That is for sure. I think both teams are really ready for this. Greg Marshall has made a big point of letting everybody know he wants all these folks to show up tonight. It'll be a blackout, so Memphis will actually be wearing their home whites.
Yeah.
And Penny, he definitely grasps that the Georgia loss and all the circumstances that went around with that are all gone if he wins this game. So lots on the line. But you know what? It's only the second conference game. It's a long way from March. So as much as we don't want to talk about this game, really, it's significant because it's probably the most interesting conference game Memphis will play because it's on the road in a place where they're playing against a ranked team. But in the long scheme of things here, this game is not that consequential.
If they got a win tonight, it sure would be consequential, though. It would be bigger than the loss on Saturday for no other reason on the road and in the conference. And then Sunday afternoon, another road game at USF. But Wichita State, yeah, I'm sure they are primed for this tonight. This is as big as it gets for them in the AAC. This is why they left the Valley, to have games like this.
This is. Well, games like this in Cincinnati, the last time they actually played a conference game against a ranked team was Cincinnati a couple of years ago, and they did not win that game. They played a good schedule this year. I mean, they knocked the heck out of Ole Miss, last time out, but they've beaten South Carolina, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, and VCU. Oklahoma and VCU were ranked in the coaches poll. It might have been Oklahoma State and VCU. They were both ranked in the coaches poll at 25 when they beat them. So they're 2-0 against ranked teams, but they haven't played an AP ranked team yet. Tonight will be the first one for that. I'm excited for the Egg Bowl. I'm excited for the SEC Media Days. I'm excited for everybody in the state of Mississippi. It seems to me, Brett, if we're talking about Mississippi State needing to get excitement in their program to battle the excitement that Lane Kiffin has brought to Ole Miss, they found the right guy.
They nailed it. They couldn't have gone out. I mean, Todd Grantham would have worked, would have fit in well. But even a guy that got an NFL job, Joe Judge, got an NFL job. The New York Giants hired him. I think State made a better hire in getting Mike Leach than in getting Joe Judge.
I agree with you, only because the perception of Joe Judge would have been, okay, let's see if he can really be a head coach. We don't know. What you've got here is an established guy, an
proven
established
winner
character, much like Lane Kiffin, a guy who is, like Lane, really good at figuring out offensive schemes. I mean, I think it brings a national interest. Not that there isn't always regional interest in the Egg Bowl, and at times national. At least in the beginning of this marriage between these two guys, it brings a national perspective to the Egg Bowl.
Yeah, and I think both of them will be fine on offense. Both will need to show if either or both or neither can establish a defense, and to get that game back to the level where it was in 2013, 14, and 15 with Ole Miss and Mississippi State both in the national picture. In 2014, Ole Miss went to the college football playoff type bowls, went to the Peach Bowl, and Mississippi State went to the Orange Bowl that year. And then in 2015, both went to great bowl games as well. So it really started with Dak Prescott and at the end of Bo Wallace and including Chad Kelly. But for both of them to be good again and to get out of Thanksgiving weekend and the winner goes to the Poulan Bowl and the loser fires their coach. Well, this year they both fired their coach.
Yeah. And I don't think people saw the Joe Moorhead firing, and probably he would not have been fired had there not been disaster at the Music City Bowl and the quarterback getting his eye socket ripped and allowing the player that did the damage to play in the game. I mean, there were so many, I guess, examples of an undisciplined culture there that was the last straw. And I think Mississippi State is a winner. There's going to be plenty here that will say, and they're right to point this out, Mike Leach's offenses end up getting a lot of points for you, but not that many wins. You could say it didn't work in the Pac-12 in the end, even though I think he was in the top 10 of the nation in scoring offense. But they were 6-7 this year. They lost their bowl game to Air Force, and they're going to say if it didn't work in the Pac-12, how in the world is it going to work in the SEC where there's actually defense? I still think it can, and I think he is an interesting guy, and he raises the level of interest in the whole region for the Bulldogs.
Great hire. Lost in that bowl game 31-21 to Air Force when they just played keep away. And that was one of Bruce Marshall from the Gold Sheets bowl locks of the year was that game of Air Force over Washington State. Held Air Force to 31. But you're right, it did go 6-7 this year and allowed a lot of points, allowed 67 in a loss to UCLA and allowed 53 in a win over Oregon State. But it was a great hire, and I think he'll get it worked out. Dave, back to the Tigers in Wichita State.
Can I ask you
Sure.
one last question on Leach? I know he was set to make $4 million this year, and there was a $2.5 million buyout from Washington State, which you assume Mississippi State is paying for that buyout. How much money is he going to make this year if he's turning down $4 million at State? At Washington State.
I don't know the terms, but I'm sure it's really good because that's the established market rate in the SEC.
Man, a lot of money there, no doubt about it.
A lot of money, and the pool for the assistant coaches really big. Dave, when I look at Wichita State starting lineup tonight, boy, I see a really big, long team. And the Georgia big offensively Saturday had a really good day. It will put even more pressure on Precious Achua kind of down in the low blocks.
Well, really, they only start one big guy. Jaime Echenique is 6'11". He's the only senior on the team out of Columbia, and he's a solid player. He was their returning points and rebounds leader from a year ago, but they really start three guards and a 6'6" forward. So they're not that big. They can bring big guys off the bench. They can bring a guy named Morris Udeze, and he's 6'8". Now, he's a kid that's from Houston, but he's got a wingspan of a 7-footer. They can bring in the Isaiah Poorbear Chandler. You may remember him. They got a kid from Denmark who's 7 feet tall, but they don't really usually play more than one big guy. Now, the one surprise to this team is the kid that was all freshman last year for them that was supposed to be a superstar in Dexter Dennis. The kid is shooting 27%, 23% from three-point range. This was a guy they figured would be a 16 or 17-point per game scorer. He left. He came back for the Ole Miss game. He missed 3 games in a row for personal issues. I don't really know the whole story on him, but he's a guy, if he comes back to life, now they've really got some weapons because their point guard's really good. Their shooting guard killed Ole Miss. He scored 29. His name is Eric Stevenson. A quick story today as I'm packing up from shoot-around. I'm the last guy to leave because I had done some stuff for the TV show, and he's starting to get a ball. He's stretching in front of me. And I said to him, wow, man, you were in fuego in that last game against Ole Miss. And he looked up at me almost with disdain and looked me in the eye and said, yeah, I'm going to do it again tonight.
Oh, man.
So
bring it on.
We shall see.
Done been brought. Tonight, the Tigers and Wichita State at 6 o'clock. Dave, if the Tigers win, I think this would be the Gold Star win of the year.
Probably because, NC State was, I thought, a good win, and they were winners last night in ACC action.
I think that's the best win so far this year.
But they're not what we might have thought to begin with. Obviously, Tennessee has, since they lost Lamonte Turner, has struggled a little bit, even though that kid that's come in to replace him that shoots threes has been exciting, and they were winners the other night. But, yeah, I would have to say this would probably be the best win so far in the bunch. And, let's face it, when you're playing a conference team that's ranked and they're the only other ranked team in the conference, you only have so many opportunities, and it's the one game you're going to play on the road, and here you go. You've got a real good shot here. And if I looked at the line, it's only -4. Wichita State's -4. So Tigers are underdogs for one of the few times this year. I understand why. This place, it'll be electric here. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And if they were to win, and they could, here's the thing. Memphis is not expected necessarily to win this game. It would be a 2-game losing streak. The sky is not going to fall here. This is not some of Tubby's teams or even Josh Pastner's teams after everybody transferred out. There's a lot of talent on this team. Even though Wiseman is gone, I get that. Precious is good. Boogie is struggling a little bit, but Boogie was a guy that was being mentioned after that pro camp they had here as a guy who could possibly leave next year. Now, it hasn't worked for him. He's been slumping. There is so much talent still on this team. I watch these shoot-arounds, and I marvel after watching the talent level that we've had the last few years. Even if they lose this game, this season is not lost. What happens in March matters a lot more.
We're in our Family Leisure studios where family and fun come together. The after-Christmas sale ongoing now at Family Leisure, up to half off display models, closeouts, even new items. All the 2019 spas must go to make room for incoming inventory. Thousands off all in-stock spas, theater seating, and massage chairs. Price to move at Family Leisure. Game table starting at $99. Summer will be here before you know it. Buy now and get first in line for installation for your pool this summer and the fun you can have with your pool from Family Leisure. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. Dave will be back in here tomorrow after a night in Wichita with the Tigers facing Wichita State. He mentioned Wichita State installed as a 4-point favorite tonight. And coming off their big win last Saturday afternoon over Ole Miss, the Tigers coming off of the loss in the AAC SEC Challenge last Saturday, 65-62 to the Georgia Bulldogs. This hour brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Give them a call at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis is offering the Golden Opportunity January sales event to kick off this new 2020 year. Great offers on all the 2020 models and always special lease options. If you ever thought I'd look great in a Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus of Memphis thinks you would look great in a Lexus too. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. Lexus of Memphis, the high standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design that makes for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com, 362-8833. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Dave, you first.
Well, lost in this Tiger-Wichita State game, lost in the hiring of Mike Leach, is the hiring of Mike McIntyre as the new Tiger defensive coordinator.
You'll love him.
This is, I hope, a steadying influence for Ryan Silverfield because
it is.
You know better than anybody, the guy's been head coach at
Solid
Colorado,
man.
at San Jose State. What I did not know until today was that he played high school football, played at Brentwood Academy in Nashville, went on to Vandy and Georgia Tech, so obviously he's very smart.
His dad was head coach at Vanderbilt, George.
Yeah. And so you know better than me about this hire. On paper, it's a great hire. He was not retained by Lane Kiffin. I don't know what that was about, but it seems to me he will be a very steadying influence on Ryan Silverfield.
New head coach wanted a new staff, and it's to the Tigers' benefit to get such a solid guy and great football coach. And when Charles Clark was hired, that's a Mike McIntyre hire. You knew it was really close to being a done deal for him, and I think it's really smart and sharp by Ryan Silverfield to have that kind of experience on staff. My top story, Tigers in Wichita for the biggest game of the year. A win calms down everything. It's not that loud right now. We know what loud is around here after a loss. It's not that loud around here after the loss to Georgia, but it could get there. A loss tonight would really make it noisy. A win makes up for the Georgia loss, and then some. Precious Chua needs a big game tonight and must get some threes to loosen up things from the guard play. Dave mentioned Boogie Ellis. Need a good game from him tonight to loosen up things down low, and the Tigers get a big road win. And Tyler Harris needs a good game. Must play better than he did against Georgia. His minutes against Georgia were awful.
Not top story of the day.
Dave, your top story?
My top notch story is the John Beeline explanation and the apology, although I'm willing to buy it. But if you hadn't heard, he was in a film session with his team, and at the end, he was trying to be complimentary. Instead of using the word slugs, he said, he used the word thugs, which we know in this day and age takes on a racist connotation. He said he didn't even realize he said it, and that he meant to say slugs. He called each individual player, and then at a shoot-around today, made a team apology, so he has been backpedaling for the last 24 hours. I think he saved his job, at least for the moment, but it sure does seem weird how you would confuse those two words.
Yeah, and it's a shame. John Beeline, I believe him. Inappropriate, but I believe him. But just a great reputation, a lifer, college basketball coach, one of the really good people out there in college basketball. And you know, at Michigan, he was kind of the anti-Jim Harbaugh. He just did it and didn't talk about it. He showed them and didn't tell them. You know, it was in the final game 2 years ago against Villanova. They got blasted, but he got to the final game. He got to a Final Four with West Virginia. It was odd when a guy almost 70 years old took that job to be in the NBA.
Well, hold it. He's only 66. He's my age. Don't make us 70 yet.
Closer to 70 than
Close
he is
enough.
to 60. And to take on that NBA life and to take on that Cleveland Cavalier job, that's a hard job with LeBron. And LeBron's
well, it
long
hasn't
gone.
helped. It has not helped that he's only won 10 games so far,
No,
and
that doesn't help.
that he has irritated their best player, Kevin Love. Those two have not seen eye to eye. But I do find it hard to believe that he meant any kind of racist, had any kind of racist intonations when he made his statement, but he did screw up his vernacular, and this is, at best, very embarrassing on his part.
My not top story is this one. Brady White staying for another year, and it's really getting not a lot of movement. Now, you reverse it. You let him announce he's not coming back, and that's big headlines, but him coming back is bigger than any recruit Ryan Silverfield was signed his first year, and he will come back next year with a chance to really assault the Tiger record book. He's returning for a third year. He's 20-8 as a starter, 59 touchdown passes this year, 20 interceptions in the 2 years as a starter, over 7,000 yards already. I mean, just kind of a ham and egg, 3,000 yards next year. He goes over 10K for his career, and I think he'll do much better than that. But it's a not top story because he stayed. It would be a huge story had he left. I'm glad he stayed and look forward to watching him another year.
He had 33 touchdowns and 11 picks this year, over 4,000 yards. And you're right. If he has a ham and egg year, he'll break the school record of Danny Wimprine's over 10,000.
That's amazing.
There is no question. He is bigger than any recruit that Ryan Silverfield could have gotten. But you know what? Ryan Silverfield knew he was coming back.
That's right.
His dad knew he was coming back. I don't blame the kid if he went and checked or had his dad check on what his NFL status would be. But the kid is going to be the only player in the history of the University of Memphis that I know of that will get, and I don't know how many other schools have this, where a guy comes and he gets his doctorate while still being a player. And that means on scholarship. He is going to get all of this education, his master's, his doctorate, his undergrad, all paid for because he played football. That is incredible. But by the way, I've got this stat, and this is something for you to clarify or for Drew. Right now, at this moment, the University of Memphis football team ended 12-2, did they not?
Correct.
The basketball team at this very moment, until tonight, is 12-2. Could we ever say in the history of the University of Memphis that they had a football team and a basketball team that were both 12-2?
I don't know if it's ever been at that point.
No. Can I go back to your Precious Achua?
Sure.
Precious Achua will be the best player on the floor tonight. So and he's going to be up against a couple of guys, but one in Echenike who's 6'11", but he's not the athlete that Precious is. This should be a good night for Precious. For Boogie Ellis, he has the assignment to start on Eric Stevenson. His defense could go a lot further than anything else tonight. Now, I know we're all going to measure it by what he does offensively. You watch his defense on Eric Stevenson, because I think that will be critical. And if I could, since I missed yesterday, and I apologize for that, but the team plane was just late in getting to Wichita. It's the best thing I can tell you, and it's the truth. But I didn't get a chance to say publicly my sadness for the passing of Jimmy Hayslip, who died a couple of nights ago at the age of 85. When I first got to the marketplace in 1981, Jimmy was the athletic director for then Shelby County Schools, which were the county schools. The public schools were a different entity. And Jimmy has always been a gentleman, a giver, a guy who looked after everybody, who wanted to help in any way that he could, and was a guide for so many generations of young people through schools, whether it was the principal at Lucy, or when he started as a teacher, or the principal or the athletic director of Shelby County Schools. He was principal of 5 different schools. He was the favorite teacher of so many people that used to come up to him after games, and I would say that they just want to chat with him, and after he would finish doing his duties as the official scorekeeper, which he did for 50 years, he would then get up and go over and relive their childhood with them. It was a beautiful thing to always see, and a beautiful man passed away, and we've had so much of that lately. I just hope it stops for a while.
Dave, well done, and we will see you tomorrow, and we all agree about Mr. Jimmy Hayslip. Thank you so much. We'll visit with you tomorrow, and we'll be listening
Looking forward
tonight.
to seeing you. you.
Thank you, Dave.
All right.
Dave, on the road with the Tigers. Tip tonight at 6 o'clock against Wichita State. We know the gravity of the game tonight. It should be big. When we come back, we will talk college football. We'll get his first thoughts on the Mike Leach hire by Mississippi State. It was a knockout. All the names mentioned, there were a lot of names bandied about. I don't think they could have landed on a better hire than Mike Leach. Now, Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach in the SEC West, 160 miles apart from each other. What could go wrong there? What will Thanksgiving night this year be like, and Thanksgiving nights a lot of years be like with those two combatants in the SEC West and in the Egg Bowl world? We'll get thoughts from Bill Bender on that. At 4 o'clock, we will go inside Hoop City with Elliot Perry talking all things Grizzlies and Tigers. Russell Copeland on the NFL at 4:30. Jason Munns will be courtside in Wichita, Kansas, and will join us at 5 o'clock, and we'll wrap up the day with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Before that, Blake Lovell from Clutch Points app and Blue Ribbon Magazine on college basketball. So a busy Thursday in store for you. 360-8255 at the First Bank phone line, 67129 at the First Bank text line. You're listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats and Drew Barrett on AM 560, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy get you through the midday with Sports 56 Middays. Delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 till 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
If you've always thought, hey, I'd look pretty good in Lexus, well, guess what? Lexus thinks so, too. Lexus is offering you the Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Great offers on all 2020 models and special lease options. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by Lexus of Memphis, 2600 Ridgeway, and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500. Hey, you look pretty good there. Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event at Lexus of Memphis. Experience amazing.
One thing I really admire about Central Barbecue is their commitment to quality.
Then why do they let you do their commercials?
I'm talking about their food. Everything is prepared with devotion to taking the time and effort to create perfect barbecue.
Oh, I know. That's exactly why I was wondering why...
They're not kidding with that slow-smoked Memphis-style slogan. They smoke their pork for 14 hours. Do they have to? They do if they want to be the best barbecue in Memphis, and they are.
And yet they let you just throw together...
There's nothing better than Central Barbecue because they care.
Except apparently about their radio ads.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129.
It's free furnace time. Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Are you considering replacing your air conditioning system this spring? Well, January is one of our slowest months of the year. Our warehouse is full and our crews are slow. So to spark business during the cold winter months, Conway Services is giving away Carrier 80% gas furnaces absolutely free with the purchase of a standard Carrier air conditioning system. That's right, purchase a Carrier air conditioning system in the month of January and get a gas furnace absolutely free. That's up to $2,000 in savings. And if that's not enough, we'll include an April air cleaner, a 10-year parts warranty, and a free Nest thermostat. Plus, get your new system for as low as $114 per month or 12 months interest-free. Now, you could do that. And you know with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old heating system, we'll come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Now, back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
I had a friend of mine tell me today, so always a lot to talk about it. And I said, yeah, it really is. And it always seems to have a lot. We got a lot of different things colliding with the news of Mike Leach and the game tonight with the Tigers, the game tomorrow night with the Grizzlies. And San Antonio with another big win last night. The East hadn't helped us out at all with Milwaukee and Boston last night with what San Antonio was able to. It was Boston last night San Antonio beat, wasn't it? And they had a big win last night. So no help there. The Grizzlies going to take care of business tomorrow night at FedEx Forum against San Antonio. 7 o'clock tip for an anxiously awaited game between the Grizzlies and the Spurs tomorrow night. Maybe the first battle for 8th. Tomorrow night. Bill Bender from the Sporting News has been our guest all this football season at this time on Thursday. Today is our last visit with Bill. We have enjoyed the years of visiting with him at this time, And today, plenty to talk about on the college football front. College football season never ends, does it, Bill?
It doesn't, and obviously a couple unexpected turns on the coaching carousel. It's exciting to see. We're all talking about the Egg Bowl now, that's for sure, and that's wild. But it's a full rivalry where both teams have only been ranked and they've played 6 times. Now it just hit the stratosphere with Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach.
And State, I don't think they could have nailed it with all the other names out there, even a name that, like a guy like Joe Judge, that the New York Giants, the NFL ended up hiring Joe Judge, and I think he's going to be a rock star as a head coach in the NFL and head coaching in his life. But they got it so right with Mike Leach to match the fervor and the intensity and the enthusiasm around the Lane Kiffin hiring. Now 3 Pac-12 coaches in the SEC West with Mike Leach, Ed Orgeron, and Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, that is, and like you said, I think it's the one-upsmanship of that rivalry that they get Leach, and we all get what we want. We've all wanted to see him try to coach in the SEC and see how that goes, and we got that. We've all wanted to see him know what that air raid's going to do, how, what's media day going to be like with him. It's probably going to be wildly entertaining. How coaches that are more buttoned up, like Nick Saban, react to that. Think about that division now, the SEC West. You have Kiffin, Orgeron, like you said, Saban,
Jimbo,
Leach, Jimbo,
Gus.
And then Pittman with Arkansas. That's as entertaining as it gets in terms of for us media guys, what we get to see there.
It will be highly entertaining. All the different schools that at some point that's been attached to Mike Leach, I don't know how serious through the years, but at some time or the other, Ole Miss talk, Arkansas talk, Missouri this year conversation, Tennessee a little through the years, Auburn a dalliance or 2 through the years. Again, I don't know how serious, but linked to a lot of different schools, and finally they land him at Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State should be applauded for it.
Kind of the sweet spot. He's obviously had success in places like Lubbock and Pullman, and we've all wondered how would he do at the big job, and I don't think the big job was ever going to hire him, the blue blood job. But now he goes to another conference where, Mississippi State's been number 1 somewhere recently, 15 with Dak. So he can create some excitement there. Texas Tech had that excitement. He had enough there to scare Oklahoma and Texas and beat them sometimes. So
sure did.
I think it's interesting, Brad. I think they, like you said, it's that perfect sweet spot, a decent hire, and they should do well with it.
They really should. Bill Bender, our guest from the Sporting News, and Monday night, LSU and Clemson. Boy, the wait has been long, hasn't it?
Yeah, I'm used to being done by now. But it'll be interesting to go down there. I'm excited. Flight leaves tomorrow. You get into all the festivities. Media day will be wild. There's certainly a lot to consider. I do think it comes down to this unbelievable quarterback matchup between Lawrence and Burrow. They don't come around often. I thought we had it last year with Tua and Lawrence, and it became a one-sided blowout. But, in this case, you've just got 2 teams that their quarterbacks played awesome. One hadn't lost, and one hadn't had a bad night this year. So it adds up to what should be a heck of a show when they hook up on Monday night.
And the quarterback matchup is the real tantalizing matchup of the game. It looks like it will be this year's Heisman Trophy winner. We know it's this year's Heisman Trophy winner in Joe Burrow, probably the number 1 pick of the Cincinnati Bengals in Joe Burrow, against next year's Heisman frontrunner going into the season and maybe the number 1 draft pick next year in Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I think that, and I don't think this has ever happened. I thought it might be, that was kind of the hook last year with Tua and Lawrence, but this one seems more real because I think the Bengals should take Burrow, and if they don't, they're stupid because I think they can rebuild that franchise around them. And I've tried to sell this to my buddies for about a month who root for the Bengals. So I think that's one. And then Lawrence, I'd be stunned if he's not number 1 next year. I don't know. It's worth the price of admission. You throw the coaches on there. You throw that big win streak on there. You throw SEC pride in its backyard on there. There are plenty of things to get excited about.
I didn't think – I said after Auburn went undefeated in 2010 with the new round of the playoffs and the heightened the intensity of college football. I didn't think we would ever see another undefeated national champion from the SEC. Last year, Alabama got it in that last game, ended up with that one loss. If LSU pulls that off, it's almost the best year ever for it will be the best year ever for any SEC team. I don't know if it makes it the greatest team ever, but I think it makes it the most noteworthy team ever.
Well, I didn't think in the current format we would get 15-0 often because it's so hard to do. I wasn't sure if we ever would. But, Clemson obviously accomplished that last year. LSU has a chance to do it this year. But I don't think it will happen often in the future. You just have to have everything line up. And if you look at the BCS history, it's those matchups when you actually had two undefeated teams that end up being pretty good, right? They don't happen as often as we'd like, but when they do, you typically get a classic. And you got one not as much last year, but other ones, Texas, USC, Miami, Ohio State, and a couple of the others, they've been like that.
For Clemson going into this game, they had a lot of injuries coming out of the Ohio State game. They really needed this time off, probably more than LSU. LSU with on the timing front, almost like a hot baseball team. Last thing they wanted was time away.
Yeah, and it is. And in the playoff, it'll be interesting to see how both teams react to that in terms of what wrinkles they put in the offense. LSU with Joe Brady and how creative he's been with the offense. What else do they do to add to that? And then on the other side, Brent Venables, his name will get mentioned 1,000 times in the booth. What wrinkles did he draw up? I mean, one of the things that really sticks out with me from last year is that Venables had all that time to draw that up, and they confused Tua. They did. They got picks. They got blitzes.
Sure
Alabama struggled on third down. And if that happens to LSU, Clemson can win the game. If it doesn't work, and Burrow improvises, gets the ball to his receivers, his tight end, and all those things, then LSU may run away with it. So it is an excellent matchup, two really good deserving teams. I don't know what more you could ask for in a great game like this.
I don't know how exotic a story it is, but I think one of the real inside Clemson football great stories, the relationship between Dabo Swinney and Woody McCorvey. I think his title is Director of Football Operations. I don't know exactly what Woody McCorvey's title is, but he's been his trusted liaison, his consigliere since his playing days at Alabama. That's where they became friends, and it's a fun story. So many stories to mine when you get down there, but I like the linkage between Woody McCorvey, longtime trusted aide, to Dabo Swinney.
Well, I mean, Dabo stayed true to who he is. He always has, and so does Ed. Ed Orgeron has.
Yes.
These guys are as genuine as you can be. They've learned through failure. They've learned. I mean, there was a time when Dabo was getting worn out by Spurrier every year, and Clemson wanted to let him go. Probably good they didn't. And then Ed, obviously, I mean, he's had an up and down career.
It was rocky.
Yeah, but I mean, for him to find this team and find home and all those things that come with it, I mean, I think he'll be one of the media day stars for sure because he's so close to home. So it is an interesting game. It is an interesting coaching matchup. I think it's something new on some level. I know Clemson's in there again, but and then you got to start to think, if Clemson wins, are they the new villain? Because America, what they love most is an underdog. What they like to do after the underdog is they like to hate winners.
Sure.
And whether it's the Patriots, the Yankees, the Celtics, whoever, they'll start to hate Clemson a little bit. And you're already starting to see it because they pick at the schedule, they pick at Dabo, pick at Trevor. They'll become a villain in a hurry if they win. Well, it'd be 3-4, and they've played for it how many times? This is 4-6.
That's it. And always kind of in the mix. If Clemson wins, do they ever get the blessing of blue blood status?
Miami never got that.
No.
Which is interesting. Florida State never really got that. They just got, they do remind me a lot of Florida State. That the only difference being that they're better in big games. And, like what I went back and just said, like, they're playing for a national title for the fourth time in 6 years. There aren't a lot of NFL teams that play in 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. There are not a lot of college football teams that play for 4 championships in 6 years. And I think that is pretty amazing in a lot of ways. So, yeah, they deserve the dynasty status for sure. I don't know if they'll ever attain blue
no question.
blood.
They get the D word, but can anybody that's not in the blue blood club across sports, can you ever get in it if you're not already in it?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like members have privileges. I mean, to me, when you think blue blood in the ACC, there might not be one. There's not a true one anyway.
No.
I mean, we're in the SEC. You got Bama, and I mean, is Florida a blue blood? I would say yes.
Close,
because I think
LSU is.
What's that?
I think LSU probably they probably already are, and this would almost seal it for them.
I mean, yeah, if you win 3 national titles since 2003, I mean,
over 3 different coaches, yeah.
Right. So they've found a way to do it. And I think, some you can question the credentials. I mean, Nebraska used to be a blue blood. I don't know if they still are. Michigan, you guys have talked about it. They've won 1.5 national titles, 48. But they bring a lot to the table when they get on TV.
They do.
They always will.
That helmet, that fight song, those Heisman winners, that stadium. Yeah, I still give them that benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I mean, and then Clemson, I've always said this, you can make the argument they aren't even the biggest program in their state.
That's right.
I mean, South Carolina.
And
that's weird.
Now, Clemson, they do have a lot of things, most notably the winning going for them. That's how you even broach the subject. So they have the legitimate entree. It's not like we're sitting here trying to make a case for North Carolina State. Well, I mean, we're making a case for a team that's won. But you think about Howard's Rock and now doing it over 2 different coaches, Dabo Swinney with 3, Danny Ford got the one in the early 80s. I do think if they came back next year and Trevor Lawrence won the Heisman Trophy, when you start checking all those boxes, if that doesn't get you in the club, to heck with your club. Own your club if I'm Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, they'll start their own at that point. I mean, they've done a great job, and they're going to continue to do a great job for the foreseeable future because you're dealing with a program that has learned how to win, has learned through their failures. Clemson used to be a verb for failure. It's not that anymore.
Not at all.
At least it shouldn't be. They've learned how to be a big boy, and they're really good at it. And the recruiting there, they just had the top recruiting class in the country. You look at it, it's flush with 5-star defensive linemen, quarterback, and skill position players. And when you have all those things, and they are getting to the point, and I think they proved it this year, where with all that talent they lost up front on defense, and then they allowed fewer points. And that, to me, says they are built to withstand the attrition of, the attrition of the NFL, or the NFL. They're built whether it goes to that you don't rebuild, you reload. They're at that point now.
Bill, when will the Browns hire a head coach?
Probably next week. I think they've really got their eyes on McDaniels and Stefanski, and we'll see. I mean, obviously, a long year for them. But they'll find somebody. They've got enough talent that I think they can bounce back a little bit next year, but always an exercise, and don't put the cart before the horse.
That's right. Kevin Stefanski's dad, Ed, was here with the Grizzlies. He's an NBA exec, and he a really delightful guy, and it feels like he's going to get one of these open jobs. He was really close last year. It feels like he's going to get one of these open jobs. All right, real quick before we go, how about you Packers this weekend?
Oh, they're going to win this weekend. Next week, I'm worried. I need the Vikings to do us a favor and beat the 49ers. But I think that, the home team generally wins when the Pack and Seahawks hook up, and I'm going to be a happy camper if they win on Sunday.
Bill, we will check in during the spring with breaking news during the spring and the summer, and we will check back with you for sure as we start next year talking college football. It's been so much fun, as it has been every year visiting with you, and thank you so much for being with us through the years. Thank you, Bill Bender. We appreciate you.
Anytime, man. Right back at you, bro. I'll check in with you soon. Thanks for everything this season. Your listeners are great, and take care. Have a good one.
You got it. Be safe in New Orleans. Bill Bender from the Sporting News Radio, or from Sporting News Magazine, talking with us each and every Thursday afternoon, and we have enjoyed it all year for sure with him. 360-8255 is our phone number, and I've got a big Q of the day, Germantown Commissary question for you. Winner gets a 6-pack of barbecue at the Germantown Commissary or the Collierville Commissary. By answering this question, we'll take them after the break on the phones at 360-8255 for our 6-pack of barbecue at the Germantown or Collierville Commissary. And the question is this: with the news of Brady White returning, only 2 times this year, only 2 games, did he not throw a touchdown pass in a game. Give me the games. Give me the opponents, and the 2 times this year that he did not log a single touchdown pass in a game. It only occurred 2 times this year out of 14 games. Name those two games. This weekend, tonight for the Tigers, you need to stock up at the commissary. Either place, the new Collierville Commissary at Houston, Levy, and Poplar, or the original in Germantown, Memphis-style barbecue and ribs. Delicious and authentic Memphis-style great food. Begin your barbecue feast with some great appetizers like the cheese plate or the tamales or the barbecue nachos. The smoked chicken wings are fantastic. Then dig into the ribs or the barbecue shoulder. Get it chopped or pulled on a sandwich, a big sandwich, or you can get it on a plate. Comes with beans, slaw, deviled eggs, and bread as well. You can even order it by the pound or a 6-pack like we're giving away, or an 8-pack or a 12-pack. The Boss Man salad, the chicken plate, or the barbecue shrimp, all delicious. The great tamales, and always you can wrap it up with the terrific desserts like the best lemon icebox pie anywhere, in the terrific banana pudding. 754-5540, online at commissaryBarbecue.com, in Collierville and Germantown. Great party areas at both places, particularly at the new place at Houston, Levy, and Poplar at the Collierville Commissary. Germantown and Collierville Commissary has been done the right way by Walker Taylor at the Germantown Commissary and Collierville Commissary. 360-8255 at the First Bank phone line. Give me the only 2 games this year that Brady White did not throw a touchdown pass in a game. Happened 2 different times. Give me those 2 games. When we come back, we'll get your answers at 360-8255. You are listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats and Drew Barrett on Real Sports Talk, AM 560, 96.1 and 87.7.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive? Take the car for a couple of days if you want. Streamlined buying process. You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Hi, folks. Good news from the Sunrise Sheriff. The Sunrise Chevy Ranch is 12 years old, so fire up the old jalopy and get on down here, because there's a saving shindig going on at sunrisememphis.com. Acres of new Chevys, huge discounts, 0% financing, and savings up to $13,000. Bad credit, it's okay. At Sunrise, we've got a financing plan for everybody. Need body work? Bring it to Sunrise. The Sunrise Sheriff has put an end to high prices, and the word's out. Chevys cost less at Sunrise. 385 in Houston, Levy, and Collierville. Specializing in cars and trucks under $10,000. Find new roads.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof, or even if you need one, by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Now, back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Wolochen and Brett Norsworthy.
Dave will be back with us tomorrow after the game tonight against Wichita State in Wichita. 6 o'clock tip for the Tigers and the Shockers tonight. First big road conference challenge of the year for the Tigers. Wichita State with a big win over Ole Miss, blowout win over Ole Miss last Saturday, as the Tigers were losing Georgia. 360-8255 at the First Bank phone line, 67129 at the First Bank text line. And at the phone line, if you want to take a stab at the trivia, the 2 games this year that Brady White did not throw a touchdown pass in. His announcement that he's coming back for a third year, 59 TDs, 20 interceptions in the last 2 years, 7,310 yards, and he's back next year. There was a time I thought that Danny Wimprine's yardage record was one of the unbreakables, and next year it should be broken. I don't know if it'll be easily, but if just any kind of year it will be.
And for Brady White to do it in 3 years, I mean, it was a record that you thought it had to be a 4-year guy. I mean, there's no way a guy in 3 or 2 could ever touch it.
I mean, a 40-start guy, and Brady White's getting ready to do it. 360-8255. We go to the phones, and we thank everybody that's lined up on the phones to try the trivia. We go to Matthew. Good afternoon, Matthew.
Yeah, so the answer is his first and his last game, Ole Miss and Penn State.
Very good, Matthew. That is exactly right. The opening day, it was a low-scoring affair. I knew he didn't against Penn State, but even today when I came in, Drew and I, we looked it up to make sure. Score 39 points, and he doesn't throw one against Penn State. So sandwiched in between opening day and the last day of the year were all those touchdown passes that he had this year. What kind of year do you think he'll have next year on the field?
Well, with all his weapons coming back, I think he's going to have a similar year. I don't see any reason why to think any differently. And if with the defensive coordinator that we signed today, if our defense steps up a little bit, I'm extremely excited for next year.
Did you go to the Cotton Bowl, Matthew?
It fell through, and I was unable to go, unfortunately, but I watched it on TV, and it was awesome.
It does not feel like anything resembling the end. It does feel like the beginning, launching a period, a chapter in Tiger football that will keep going, and Brady White's return next year sure will allow that. Do you concur?
I do. I think it felt very uneasy when Fuente left, and we weren't sure how that was going to play out. I don't feel the same way now. I think Silverfield is on the surface looks like a great hire, and I just feel even more confident with the hires I see him making, and definitely with all the players that are behind him and the players that are coming back. It just seems like it's happening.
It does feel that way. Matthew, very good. Thank you so much for listening and calling. We'll put you on hold, and you get with Drew and get the particulars, and you'll win a 6-pack of barbecue at either the Germantown or Collierville Commissary. Yeah, the next year for Brady White, the pressure will be on him, but he's had that since kind of coming in as the anointed, designated starter for Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell wasn't going to bring him in here and have him sit and watch, and he hadn't. Went 8-6 his first year as a starter, and then 12-2 last year, so 20 up, 8 down in 2 years. Yeah, I know the crowd has gotten on him a time or two, particularly early in the first half in the AAC championship game. But I think that was just aggravation of being right there for a lot of those fans that day, just right there, close to football nirvana for the Tigers, and eventually it was accomplished with that win. When we made predictions for the new year, I said 10 wins minimum next year for the Tigers. That's for a first-year head coach, but I believe that.
I do too. I mean, you just look at the talent coming back. I mean, and a guy that could have made a whole lot of difference for you this year that was out pretty much all season, and John Pops Williams, and a great punt returner and kickoff returner. He'll definitely do both of those this year. I mean, it gave Antonio Gibson a chance to step up and fill that role. I mean, to think about this. Antonio Gibson is the AAC championship MVP. Day one against Ole Miss, he wasn't a starter. I mean, that's incredible to know that you have that much talent for a guy that wasn't even on the starting depth chart to come in and by the end of the year be one of your top 5 playmakers. And to know that we've still got more talent like that locked and ready to go, it's phenomenal. I mean, 10 wins is a minimum, I think.
what's a touchdown to interception number next year for Brady White that on senior day, and it'll probably be the day after Thanksgiving, probably against Houston. The conference dates haven't been designated yet, but we know with TV and being a good TV draw like the Tigers have been through the years, that's probably where that game will fall, the day after Thanksgiving, probably 11 o'clock, maybe 2:30 game like it was this year against Cincinnati. It was 2:30 this year, 11 2 years ago against Houston. So on his senior day, when he goes in or coming out of that game that day, what does he finish the regular 12-game season with, touchdowns to interceptions?
I think he's pretty much just got to do exactly what he did this year. I think 33-11, maybe even up that, maybe 35-10, and phenomenal, definitely breaking every single record if he does 35-10.
Master the obvious comment here. I don't care if the 33 necessarily goes up. Just have that INT number go down 1 or 2.
But, I mean, you still got to think about it. I mean, 3 touchdowns to 1 ratio. I mean, that's
sure
great. You take that all day. So, I mean, there's nothing really to whine and complain about with the 3-to-1 ratio.
None. And just the time of them, I don't remember. What was the most killer interception?
Probably if you had to pick other than the fallback arm hit in the bowl game. Other than that one, I think the most killer one would have been the first half interception against Temple. Because
did they eventually call that a fumble, though, in the bowl game?
No, it was counted as an INT. I think the other one would probably be the one that he threw against Temple in the first half where we were driving early in the second quarter. Probably would have scored there, would have taken out the controversy of the catch. So that's probably the only other interception. The rest of them, I mean, really didn't affect you that badly.
It really didn't. So next year, around mid-30s, 34, 35 touchdowns, 8, 9, 10. If it doesn't get into double digits for interception, that first number, it could be 31, and you'd be very, very pleased with it. But I think on senior day next year, he will go out the most decorated Tiger quarterback, for sure statistically, that's ever played at the University of Memphis. And I didn't think anybody would knock off Danny Wimprine, but they're going to. Hour 1 in the books. When we come back, we start hour 2. We go inside Hoop City. We do that every Thursday with Elliott Perry. And then at 4:30, we'll have Russell Copeland. And in 5 o'clock hour, we'll have Jason Munns live courtside in Wichita from the Commercial Appeal on the beat with the Tigers. We'll visit with him right before tip in Wichita for the Tigers and Wichita State. You're listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Help us make room for our incoming inventory at Family Leisure. Save thousands on all floor model spas. Floor model play gyms up to 50% off. Patio furniture 10 to 50% off. Don't wait until May to purchase your swimming pool. Buy now and get scheduled for the spring installation. Additional discounts on all swimming pools, grills, fire pits, outdoor kitchens. Get to I-40 and Whidden Road. There's always something good at Family Leisure.
Well, family and fun come together.
Is imitation the sincerest form of flattery? Not.
When it comes to your car audio.
Stereo One is the leader in car audio, remote start, security, and more for the past 30 years. Stereo One is proud to announce the grand opening of their new location, 1983 Covington Pike, across from the Honda dealership. To celebrate their new location, Stereo One has marked down their entire inventory. Remote start systems at $129.
With free installation.
Subwoofer base packages start at just $199. Window tint starting at $129. The entire inventory of radios and touchscreens with features like Apple CarPlay, Bluetooth, and backup cameras are marked to go. Check out Stereo One before you buy online. Their knowledge, friendly sales staff, and pro installation team will take care of you. Visit the Stereo One new location today, 1983 Covington Pike, across from Honda, or visit their mega store at Mendenhall and Winchester. Make sure you go to the originators and not the imitators.
Stereo One is still the one for your auto accessories.
Fox Tonight.
Sheriff Bradford suffered a serious heart attack. You're the new sheriff of Los Angeles County.
You gotta be kidding me.
I wish we were.
Don't miss Fox's new hit drama, Deputy.
You are not a soldier anymore. You are a general.
He's the hero no one saw coming.
Enjoy those stars while you got them.
I will. Stephen Dorff stars in Deputy. This department has lost its way.
I think you're exactly what they need.
Deputy, all new. Tonight at 9/8 Central on Fox.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also keep up to date with everything going on by keeping up with Sports 56 on social media. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch for information on breaking news, chances to win prizes, and video of all the shows. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7 on social media. We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time to go inside Hoop City with Grizzlies radio analyst Elliot Perry. Inside Hoop City is sponsored by Campbell Clinic. Each Thursday, the former Tiger great and 10-year NBA player joins Sportstime with Wolo and Stats to talk Tigers and Grizzlies and all things Hoop City. Now, here's Elliot Perry with Wolo and Stats.
I like slam dunks, taking it to the hoop. My favorite play is the alley-oop. I like the pick and roll. I like the give and go.
Dave in Wichita, so I have Elliot Perry all to myself today as we go inside Hoop City to talk Tigers and the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies winners on Tuesday night, 119-112 over Minnesota, and then they're back at it tomorrow night against San Antonio on a long homestand, and the Tigers tonight in Wichita, and on Sunday afternoon in Florida against USF, the Bulls on Florida. We go inside Hoop City every Thursday. We do it now with Elliot Perry. Good afternoon, Elliot. How are you?
All is well, Stat. What's going on?
Good to hear you. Good to hear you. This long homestand, for a young team, what is it like for them to have this extended stretch that kind of a wild, crazy change to their life and to their lifestyles, always on the road, but really kind of about a week and a half, 10 days time of the year where they can be at home? What does that mean to a young player?
Yeah, I think it means a lot to a young team. I mean, particularly that you're coming into this homestand playing well. You know, they've really been playing well on the road. You can see that, you know, this team really likes each other. They all of the small things they do, and they do well, but they're really passing and sharing the basketball, coming home and protecting your home court. And then if you're going to be a good team, that's one of the things that you always talk about is making sure that you play well at home, and then maybe you can split on the road or something like that. But I think it's very important. And they have some winnable games. Obviously, they have San Antonio tomorrow, and then Golden State on Sunday. But, you know, still, San Antonio beat us pretty good. They are starting to play a little bit better. But I like the momentum we have as well. And then, you know, just take it one game at a time.
Elliot, this team is fun to watch play, and I think we're really entering into a real fun time with them with this homestand right now. With any blessing of no injuries, January could lead to a more interesting February. If you keep it interesting in February, you get into March, and then you look up and you try to punch a playoff ticket. Why not?
Yeah, you know, like I said before, I mean, you know, you take it one game at a time, one quarter at a time, and, you know, we want to win each quarter. I think that's the approach that Coach Jenkins is taking, you know, particularly with a young team. You don't want to look too far out, take your eye off the ball, and forget to play the game that's right in front of you. And so while they are playing well, we still have to remember that this team is still a really young team. I think they've exceeded expectations from where they are now to where we thought they would be at this point in the season. So, but it's been really, really fun being around these guys, being around the team, seeing what's possible for this basketball team. And then I think our fans are pleasantly surprised with the product that we're putting on the floor.
And then just to daydream and dream a little bit of the future. I mean, you just see it every night with Ja and Jaren and Brandon Clark, and Dylan Brooks is a younger and experienced player. He's a little bit older than them with the college experience, but just in the NBA a short time. You can really see where one of these days it's going to be back like it should be in late April and May with playoff basketball with this nucleus.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the goal. Again, you want to make sure that you're patient. You want to make sure that you make the right moves. You don't want to make any missteps. Because, I mean, I think, too, Stats, it's probably like anything else is, you know, you have a team that has some momentum that's headed in the right direction, and they try to get there too soon. Maybe they trade some key players, or maybe they, you know, want to add a guy in their locker room who they think can get them over the top. and they get set back. I mean, we saw it in Minnesota, even though it's a little bit different. Jimmy Butler was one of those guys that they tiptoed into the playoffs, and then things kind of went sideways. You get him out, and now again they're back to possibly a lottery team. And so I like what this front office is doing in terms of really being patient, casting the vision forward, and then thinking out, and then kind of backtracking to that goal.
So true, Elliot. So true. You got to stay with your plan. In Minnesota, got off their plan the other night at the game on Tuesday night. Drew can vouch. We were talking. There was a time Minnesota was that patient. Let's grow with these young players. Let's build around, and it got out of whack for them, and they're really back to a complete reboot.
Yeah, I mean, so it can happen that way. I think what we have going for us right now that I really like is synergy on all levels. I think the front office is finally stable. I think the coaching staff is really stable, and so that communication with coaching staff, front office, everybody's on the same page. And then I think when you look at our locker room, the one thing that I talked about at the beginning of the year was finding an identity. Who are we going to be? We're no longer grit and grind, and I think this team is starting somewhat to create that identity. And you see this team going out night in and night out and finding some consistency in the way that they play and finding out who they are.
They really are. They are slowly. You can see it developing. I don't know what the label we're going to put on it. And grit and grind was fun and what it produced. But this is more fun to watch. This is fun basketball to watch this pace, and they've been able to keep it up, going out and scoring 140 over the Clippers. Grit and grind wasn't going to score 140 over the Clippers.
No, grit and grind had their way of playing. Again, this team is probably morphed into what the NBA is about now. More space, shooting more threes. You can see we're shooting more threes and shooting with a lot of confidence. But I think one of the things that this team is doing very well is sharing the basketball. I mean, you look at their assist numbers, and they're off the chart night in and night out. And so it shows that we have a very unselfish basketball team. And that all starts with your point guard and Ja Morant.
You mentioned about one of the first things in the identity of a team is being able to start laying that marker down and establishing that beachhead at home. The Grizzlies just 8-12 on the year at home, but this homestand, Tuesday night against Minnesota, Friday night against San Antonio, then Golden State, Houston, and Cleveland and New Orleans on Dr. Martin Luther King Day. This is a chance to start that early identifying of you don't come into FedEx Forum and win.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if you look at, if you would have said we had 21 games at home and we would be 8-12, I mean, that probably would, I think people would be like, or, whatever it is, 20 games. Mm-hmm. I think people would be, like, okay, I'll take that at the beginning of the year.
Oh, I would have.
You think about the games that we played. We had an opportunity really to beat the Lakers. I thought that was a game that we, kind of fizzled down the stretch. We fizzled down the stretch a little bit against the Clippers down the stretch. So, I mean, we had some winnable games that we could have easily, won a couple more games in that stretch. And so I mentioned on your guys' show last week that this was a low expectation season. But we still had expectations, so it wasn't like we didn't have any expectations. And so I think they've exceeded those expectations.
The development for Ja, I know a lot of people, and I fall victim to it, want to compare young point guards to young quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't know if it's always particularly apt, but sometimes it is. But you see the confidence in him. I don't mind a turnover or two, Elliot. I want him to grow because I think he's the type of player that he will grow and he will learn from a mistake or two, and this is the year to have him.
Well, and he in general, he's just a low mistake guy, a low turnover guy anyway, just by the pace that he plays. I mean, people think that he plays at this rampant pace. He really plays at a slow pace, much like Chris Paul. He has bursts of speed, and, obviously we know about his athleticism, but Ja really, in all actuality, plays at a really slow pace as for a point guard. I mean, we don't see him like a Russell Westbrook, that when he gets the basketball, I mean, it's balls to the wall with Russell Westbrook, and you're going to have to stop him, and some other point guards. But I think he's made some mistakes. I think Coach Jenkins said it best. I mean, he's a guy that's not only is he coachable, he picks up things fast, and he can learn those things fast. And when you have a point guard that can do that, I think you have something in somebody that's really special.
It takes a little luck, and you were right there the last 2 years in a row on lottery night to finally, for the Grizzlies, to get that luck. And, I was thinking this year when it got the 2, everybody thinking Zion, but I had people telling me, look, yeah, you'd have taken Zion, but if it falls to the guy from Murray State, you'll be fine by it, and we have been. And it took a little luck, and we finally got some.
Oh, my goodness, we had some tremendous luck. I mean, I mentioned before that, that the draft lottery could have been so uneventful that night, given, if we would have had to convey the pick or if we would have got a very low pick. We got into the top 4, and then you get into the top 2. And I think, too, that the 2 guys that we have, even when we got the 4th pick the year before, Jaren is a perfect fit for this basketball team. When you look at the top 4 guys, I mean, obviously Luka is burning it up, but I watched DeAndre Ayton play the other night. I know it's going to take some time, but I think Jaren is a much better fit for us than Ayton. And then I can't remember the third guy that went that year.
Was it Bagley?
And Bagley. So I think Jaren overall has probably outplayed Bagley. He's outplayed DeAndre Ayton. And probably other than Luka.
Or was it Trae Young? It was either Bagley or
Trae.
Trae.
I think Trae went 5th.
Okay, yeah.
Trae went 5th to Atlanta, and he's playing well.
Yeah, and
so Jaren is a great fit for us.
Great fit. And what was it like for you sitting there? Did the blood really get flowing good? Were you the good kind of nervous as the ping pong balls were falling the Grizzlies' way?
Oh, no question about it, man. I was up there the year before, and obviously we were in the top 4. Which was good, but when you have an opportunity to stand up there, and as they're drawing those cards, it's not you. You get to 3, it's not you. Now you get to 2. I mean, it's really exhilarating to be up there and fun. But also, I was really thinking about our organization as a whole. Is not only do you want to get lucky, you want to get lucky at the right time. You want to get lucky when there are players in the draft that could be game changers for your program and organization. And again, I think that obviously we knew Zion would be that guy. We've seen him, but I think to the man that everybody had Ja Morant being that same caliber of player.
And Elliot, the other night watching Minnesota, I saw Jarrett Culver out there, and there was a time last year, with mock drafts and how the ping pong balls might fall that I was trying to justify and vindicate. Well, it'll be okay if we get Jarrett Culver. I'm glad we got Ja Morant instead of Jarrett Culver.
Oh, man, I'm so glad we got Ja. Because I think it made it so much easier to make the transition with Mike Conley. I think, Conley is in a better place with Utah, having spent 12 years here. I think it took a lot of pressure off the front office to go ahead and now really start to field calls for Mike Conley and then try to make a move that was not only a good short-term move for us, having Jay Crowder, but also a good long-term move for us as well.
We're going inside Hoop City with Elliot Perry, talking Tigers and Grizzlies, brought to you each and every Thursday by Campbell Clinic. And the Grizzlies, I wanted a little more help out of the San Antonio Eastern road trip at Milwaukee on Monday and at Boston last night.
Man.
It might be San Antonio playing their best ball. Yeah.
I'm telling you, that's what I said. I mean, San Antonio's coming here having beat 2 of the top teams in the East, in the East, and but again, you never can count San Antonio out. I mean, when they're playing bad, they're still playing good because they really share the basketball. They're well coached. That Pop holds his team to high expectations. And honestly, when they came in here last time, I mean, they spanked us pretty good the last time they came in here. So I hope our team is ready to respond to them tomorrow night.
Yeah, San Antonio 145-115 winners on December 23rd over the Grizzlies. So a little payback for that when the Grizzlies been going well since that night. Tigers tonight on the road at Wichita State, on the road Sunday afternoon in Tampa. That was supposed to be the game of the return of James Wiseman. He's not going to return. We have to get over that and play with the hand that's being dealt, and the hand that was dealt last Saturday was an inspired Georgia team pulling the upset. So the Tigers have to avenge that tonight on the road in the first AAC road game.
Yeah, I probably spent a couple of hours with Penny on Monday, just kind of rapping and talking and catching up or whatever. And I think they know the importance of this game. They, trying to put a game plan together. I think he was, disappointed from the Georgia perspective in that, we feel like we still should have won that basketball game. We didn't know DJ wasn't going to play until, maybe 30 or 40 minutes before the game. So we had to, try to make some adjustments. Again, most people talk about he felt like he didn't play enough people. But at the end of the day, they went up 8 points, with probably 3 minutes or so left, 4 minutes left in the game. And Georgia just hit some big shots down the stretch, made some plays down the stretch. And it happens. But I think they'll be ready to play tonight. I'm almost certain they'll be ready to play tonight, given that DJ and Damian is going to play.
There were 3 straight trips in the game. They were at 47-40, and they came down to the offensive end 3 straight times and didn't get a very good look. And I thought that was a time that they should have been, chunking in that low post to Precious Chua, who was really having his way.
Right, yeah. And I think, when you go back and look at the film, sometimes that's when you're up 7 points. You don't think about each possession as critical as you think about it when the score is tied or when you're down 1 or when you're up 1. I think when you're up 7, they got a little loose with the basketball. The rotations were not there. Transition defense wasn't there as much. They did a good job on Edwards, but other guys can play on that basketball team. You can see they have a lot of players other than Edwards on the Georgia team.
Yeah.
And it wasn't him that just made shots. Other guys made shots down the stretch.
They did, and they're big. I remarked about it. It was kind of a poor man's version of James Wiseman. Real long, you go inside, outside.
Yep. He was. We put a lot of pressure on our interior guys. But I think one of the things that Penny and I, when we were talking, is how do you kind of follow up with? How do you learn from your experiences, be able to convey those things, and have your team not panic? Have your team say, "Hey, we learned from that. We're not going to watch the full tape. We're just going to watch these critical pieces of it to know that overall we really played well. We played well enough to win the game. Continue to do what you're doing." One of the things my high school coach, Garmin Curry, used to say, because I was kind of a sporadic, young, just using my speed, running all over the place. I was kind of wild. And he said, "Hey, look, I don't want to take your instincts from you. I need you to play 90% of the time, but 10% of the time I need you to think." And so, in other words, 10% of the time, 10% of critical possessions, 10% of shot clocks, 10% of, hey, I may be wide open, but this may not be the best time to take that shot. I need you to think on those times, and I think they'll learn from it.
Who do you think, with the ball in his hands, kind of running the point, being the conductor, who do you think is the best thinker handling the ball for this Tiger basketball team?
I think Alex Lomax, just by virtue that he has 1 year of experience under his belt. The other guys, athletically, they may be a little bit better, but I think from a toughness perspective, not just physical toughness, mental toughness with Alo, I think he understands the game. And, to be honest, I think he's been with Penny the longest. And so he kind of knows what his coach wants. And so it's always good to have the ball in Alo hands, just because not only, again, is he tough physically, he's tough mentally, and he can make shots, he can make free throws, and he can make good decisions down the stretch.
Conference play on the road, there's nothing like it, is it?
Nothing like it, and I'm super excited to watch this game tonight. One, that it's a tough environment to play in at Wichita State, but more importantly, is can Penny rally his troops to say, hey, we've been in these situations before, we've been in tough environments before. We're going to have to make sure that when the crowd gets tough, when they go on a run, that we can settle ourselves back down. We saw it in Tennessee where they didn't give in, and at halftime they were up in Tennessee by 1. So, again, make this kind of a ground and pound game, control the pace when we have opportunities to run, be smart, run, take good quality shots. But if we don't have anything, don't force it, and try to make sure that, if nothing else, that you take care of the basketball.
And I know Coach Hardaway was thinking, out of a loss, sometimes a loss makes you better.
Yeah, and that happens. Like I said, I always go back to, can you learn from those experiences? Do you understand why we lost? And I've been around Penny enough to know that he's always kind of searching for that edge. He's always trying to search for not just why we lost, but kind of how we're looking at how we lost, and then trying to convey that to his players collectively and also individually. Because again, you can make some mistakes individually where you may not think it costs you the game, and no one play costs you the game. But it's probably like in football stats when you think about special teams, or you think about like you can play a perfect game and you can make a mistake in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left, and you can fumble the ball, or you can throw an interception, or whatever it is. And even though that one interception didn't cost you the game, it's when you made that interception or when you made that turnover that can cost you.
And sometimes late in the game, that's the one that really stands out. Elliot Perry, fun to visit with you today. Tigers tonight on TV, and then the Grizzlies at FedEx Forum tomorrow night. Sunday afternoon, long homestand. Tigers get back home next Thursday night against Cincinnati. That's always fun, regardless who the coach is. We'll have to welcome the new coach from Cincinnati to town, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward to it.
Give him the Bob Huggins treatment, maybe.
I hope so.
Elliot Perry, thank you so much for your time today. We'll do it again next Thursday. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
You got it. Elliot Perry going inside Hoop City with us, talking Tigers and Grizzlies every week, brought to you by Campbell Clinic. Last night in the AAC, Cincinnati, that will be here next Thursday night, a week from tonight, they put it on Tulsa. Yesterday, Drew, when we were discussing who are we for, I mentioned I'm never for I never count too much on Frank Haith. 31-point loss at Cincinnati last night, probably the best UC has played all year. SMU, they keep winning 81-74 over UCF, and UConn narrowly over Tulane. Tulane's going to play just about everybody pretty much like that all year, home or road. I don't know if it'll be a big separation for them wherever they play, but Ron Hunter already doing a good job there.
Oh, doing a phenomenal job there at Tulane. I mean, just turning the program around, getting in the type of guys for a quick fix, kind of like a what Sonny Dykes did at SMU in football, really harping on that transfer portal, bringing in the guys that you can bring in as soon as possible to get W's on the board now, so you can start to build something. And getting guys like Lawson and the rest of them has really worked out for them. I think they're going to be a decent middle-of-the-pack team because eventually they're going to win these close ones.
Last night in the SEC, Alabama, an easy win over Mississippi State, 90-69. And Mississippi State, with all that talent, they're scuffling a little bit. And it's not noisy on Ben Howland, but I think a few more losses and you get into late February and a lackluster year, I think people at State would be going, come on, it's time to pay this off.
I think it is time for State because they've seemed to get the recruits in that they want and that they need to have a successful program.
They're getting the guys everybody wants.
Exactly, and it never seems to turn out. So obviously, been good, but not as good as expected. And when you have that happen year after year, there's only one person to look at, and that's the head coach.
That's the only constant. 83-79 for Auburn last night over Vanderbilt, and Jerry Stackhouse team playing hard. Auburn remains one of the two undefeated teams out of the 353 in college basketball. San Diego State with the win last night at Wyoming by about 20. Also in the SEC last night, great game. Arkansas just didn't have enough at the end to win on the road. But I think Eric Musselman would have to be pleased with how his guys played at a tough place to win at Pete Maravich Assembly Center, and LSU getting the win by 2. On Saturday afternoon in the SEC, Arkansas, they go to Oxford. That's a 5 o'clock game, but a full slate Saturday. Alabama at Kentucky, South Carolina at Tennessee, Texas A&M at Vanderbilt, Georgia at Auburn. I mentioned Arkansas at Ole Miss, Mississippi State at LSU, and Florida at Mizzou. So a really busy Saturday in the SEC. It's college basketball, and the conference schedules starting to take a little bit of a definition. I do like how Jerry Stackhouse team, it's responded to him. They're young, they're not very talented, but they're playing very hard for him.
Yeah, they are. I mean, sitting at 8-6 right now, there's obviously some losses that you'd like to get back. I mean, obviously Loyola earlier this year, SMU, which is a good team.
Jean, though, we can't be too mad at her.
You can't be mad at that. I mean, but then a loss against Richmond earlier in the year.
That's not that bad a loss, but Vandy should win that.
They definitely should. It's not a bad loss, but the fact that they played Auburn down to the wire, I mean, it was only a 4-point game, but I mean it was back to back and forth all night, and especially in those last 2 minutes. So you got to give Vandy credit for going out there and battling and fighting night in and night out.
This coming Saturday in the American, Cincinnati goes to UCF. Tulane travels to Philly to play Temple. SMU at East Carolina, and Tulsa hosts Houston. Tigers play on Sunday, as well as Wichita State going to UConn. So what will be the dynamic for Wichita State coming out of tonight, either with that home loss and going on the road to UConn, or that home win and having to travel to play the Huskies on Sunday afternoon, Sunday morning. That's an 11 o'clock game. The Tigers play at 3 on Sunday in Tampa against South Florida. When we come back, we'll talk the weekend in the NFL. These 4 games are a lot different than last weekend. I thought we would have that sensational weekend last weekend. A lot bigger point spreads this weekend. Feels a little bit like it's a favorites weekend. We get the inside scoop on that and more from the NFL from Russell Copeland. We talk National Football League next. With him, you're listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats and Drew Barrett on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, AM 560, 96.1, and 87.7.
Get happy with Johnny Radio's Happy Hour. Weekday afternoons from 1 till 3 on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
If it's time for a new gun, rifle, or silencer, Tactical Guns and Gear in Collierville on Highway 72 is the best place to go. I promise they have the newest, most exciting selection of guns and silencers you could ever want. I don't care if you shoot for fun, hunt, or just need a gun for personal protection, Tactical Guns and Gear has the best selection of firearms around. The only one-stop silencer shop in Tennessee. In less than 10 minutes, they do all the paperwork. Take your photo, originate gun trust, take your prints electronically, and the best part, you never have to scan them again. Yes, silencers are legal. No special licensing, just a simple background check. Silencers don't make your firearms silent. They simply reduce noise for more enjoyable shooting, help protect against hearing loss, reduce recoil. It makes you more accurate. Best silencer place in the entire state of Tennessee, right here in Collierville. For all things guns and gear, ask for Jake or Jim at Tactical Guns and Gear on Highway 72 and tell them Eli says hi. Online at tacticalgunsandgear.com.
Mid-South Power Distributors is your source for all things diesel. Their newly renovated drive-in repair shop is open to the public. Whether it'll be your everyday driver, farm equipment, fleet vehicle, or heavy-duty truck, their ASE-certified technicians will get you back on the road. The on-site dyno is ready to run all the necessary diagnostic testing. From preventative maintenance to complete overhauls, Mid-South Power can handle it all. Stop in today at 3288 Mill Branch Road or call 901-396-0710 and online at mid-southpower.com.
Fox Tonight.
Sheriff Bradford suffered a serious heart attack. You're the new sheriff of Los Angeles County.
You gotta be kidding me. I wish we were. Don't miss Fox's new hit drama, Deputy.
You are not a soldier anymore. You are a general.
He's the hero no one saw coming.
Enjoy those stars while you got them.
I will. Stephen Dorff stars in Deputy. This department has lost its way.
I think you're exactly what they need.
Deputy, all new. Tonight at 9/8 Central on Fox.
Farmers Insurance knows that there's a not-so-subtle difference between the sound of a car hitting your rear bumper and the sound of a clown car hitting your rear bumper.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Sorry about that.
We call that a three-ring fender bender, and we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent.
They know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Hey everybody, this is Coach Penny Hardaway. There's a comfort in being home, and to me, comfort food and family makes Memphis the place to be, along with having the best basketball fans in America. I like pulling into Corky's and getting one of their family party packs. How can you go wrong with pork, beans, slaw, sauce, and buns for only $5.99 a person? It is so easy. I can call ahead, order online, or just pop in. Tailgating can't get any easier. Tell them Penny sent you.
Encore flavor, Corky's barbecue.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, more of Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Ocean and Brad Norsworthy.
Dave will be back in here with us tomorrow after a night in Wichita. Tigers in Wichita State at 6 o'clock. We'll see how that works out, and Dave will be back with us tomorrow. And I know he regrets not being here now to visit with Russell Copeland and talk the NFL, because the weekend last weekend, it truly was a wild card weekend with all four road teams winning, two of the three underdogs. Big underdogs in Seattle. They were a pretty big favorite on the road in Philadelphia. And the weekend, last weekend, the NFL couldn't have scripted it better. 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday last week. They were terrific. Same thing this weekend with 2 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday as we get down to the last 4 the following week in the championship games. And then Super Bowl 54 will be set. But a lot of football before then to talk with us about it. He joins us every Thursday. Russell Copeland, former Tiger great. Russell, last weekend, let's go back to it before we start talking about this weekend. That was some stunners. I thought Minnesota could pull the upset. But then as the game was wearing on, a couple of times I thought, no, New Orleans will win. The Dome will push them over the top. Minnesota, Kirk Cousins, the game of his life.
Well, wild card weekend was phenomenal. There's no question about that. The parity was at an all-time high for the playoffs. And you got 2 of the number 6 seeds were able to advance. And we're talking about the Vikings defeating the Saints, and the Titans defeated the Patriots. And when you look at the Vikings, I think Kirk Cousins perhaps maybe have gotten that monkey, that bear, off of his back. And when you look at how they were able to play, and you look at the New Orleans Saints, you know, when you're in the playoffs, really you can throw out rankings, you can throw out your offense, your defense. It's all about one game. And uncannily, Drew Brees had some critical mistakes. He threw an interception early that led to 7 points, and later on, you know, when you switch Army Knight, yes, man, was able to get you down inside the 10, and he had that big fumble. I think that changed the momentum of the game. But you just have to look at the Vikings. I think they were ranked, you know, a little bit 14th, 15th, somewhere around there. But they played outstanding football offensively, defensively, and also special teams. But when you look at them defensively, from that defensive front, that defensive line, they were able to control the game. They were able to put a lot of pressure on Drew Brees. He was unable to set his feet and be able to throw to his number one read, and sometimes he was kind of throwing the football blindly. If this football team is able to do that on the road, and they can play a defensive type of game on the road, and Kirk Cousins can step up and not make mistakes, it's going to be an outstanding game, another outstanding weekend, you know, in the divisional round coming up Saturday.
I'm with you. If the Vikings can do that, and they have to set the tone on offense with running Dalvin Cook like he ran last week, but then that defense, I think if you had to just give credit to offense or defense in that game, I think the Vikings defense won that game more than the offense. And the Cousins made the play and made the big play on the long pass to Thielen, and whether it was or wasn't the push off for Kyle Rudolph. But the Vikings defense really kept New Orleans at bay.
They definitely did. And when you look at Kirk Cousins, to me, that game was made for Kirk Cousins, because to me, he did not have any pressure as far as having to come from behind, having to win the game, and having to stress a little bit and try to force passes in. His defense led the way for him. Once he was able to get that 20-10 lead, he was able to relax a little bit more and be able to concentrate and hit the underneath, and then everything was controlled by Dalvin Cook in the running game. And also their screen game was outstanding. But you look at New Orleans made a lot of critical mistakes. And as you mentioned, if it was not for that defense forced one of the best prolific passers to make mistakes. And once you can do that and you have to play from behind, then the game gets easier for your offense and for your quarterback. And that's what the defense was able to do for Kirk Cousins in that offense.
And, Russell, your old team, the Buffalo Bills, it was right there in front of them. And it was kind of an ugly mess of a great game, wasn't it?
Well, as we talked about the games last week and we were breaking them down, and I broke down the Buffalo Bills, and I thought it was an excellent matchup because they had that number 3 type defense coming in. That defense set the tone. They get up 16-0. They made some good plays offensively. But I think the biggest difference to me as far as that game is the second half and the quarterback situation. I think you saw the young quarterback for the Buffalo Bills and Allen. Now he goes against Watson now, trying to get the monkey off his back to playoffs, but he's been here before. He put that team on his back, and he was able to make some plays to come back from behind 16-0 to be able to lead that team to 2 two-point conversions. When you look at Allen, when it came down to making the plays, set him in the pocket, throwing the football away, he took some critical sacks. He lost the football, and I think ultimately those transactions there was the difference in that football game.
Are you ready, like some, to sign off on the football obituary of the New England Patriots?
Well, not yet. I think the most important thing is now to look and see where Tom Brady is. And, I rode that bandwagon. I look at what this organization has been able to do for the past 20 years. And I look at Tom Brady and I looked at Bill Belichick, and I saw the Titans coming in. And I thought it would be a close game just like it was. But in reverse, they did not stop Derrick Henry. They did what I thought they would do, would make the pass would try to win the football game. But even with all that, it was still 14-13. I think what was evident is that they simply do not have any weapons offensively. And at 42 years of age, Tom Brady simply does not have it. Has he been declining? Yes. But if you have some weapons around him, you have a tight end behind him, him losing Gronkowski was huge. Now he doesn't have anything in the middle of the field. He doesn't have that safety blanket. Now when you look at Edelman is a between-the-hash guy. You do not have a guy that can take the top off the coverage. Now everything sinks in. You don't have a running game, and that's what we have now. They have a lot of work to do in the offseason, and it's going to start if they want this quarterback to come back. And it's me, I bring them back for one more year and see what type of run they can get out of him one more time.
And clear, they made a mistake in drafting with the wide receiver from Arizona State instead of taking one of the 2 Ole Miss guys.
Exactly. When you look at that, and then the Arizona wide receiver, he's been hurt a little bit, and then you look at both of the Ole Miss wide receivers and Metcalf, and you look at A.J. Brown. What a tremendous year they've had. They definitely could have used them. But when you come into it and you look in the spring game, they had Gordon. There, everything was looking good as far as that. They needed a tight end. But when it came down to it, not having Antonio Brown, once they were able to get him, you have Gordon, you have Edelman. It looked as if they was going to have a dynamic trio with those 3. Now you lose Gordon. You lost Brown early in the year. Now you don't have anything over top. It's going to be very interesting, but I would not count this team out just yet. Give them one more year to see how they can recoup in the offseason and see if they can get some help and see if they can sign Tom Brady. And I think more importantly is that you had your backup. You had your predecessor at the quarterback position. But you know where he is? He's with the San Francisco 49ers, it's Garoppolo. And what has he done this year? 13-3, and he's the number 1 seed.
And he's in the first game on Saturday. Perfect segue, Russell. First game on Saturday, 3:35, Vikings at 49ers. San Francisco, a 7-point favorite. Jimmy Garoppolo against Kirk Cousins. Somebody really gets to define themselves out of that game.
Definitely, and we talked a little bit about the Vikings, and I think, honestly, this football game is going to start in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line, and we're going to talk about the Vikings. The Vikings are going to have to be able to make Garoppolo uncomfortable, just as they did Drew Brees. They've got to get some early sacks. They've got to get some early turnovers in that football game, and then when you switch offensively, look at the defensive line and defensive front for the San Francisco 49ers. I think they've been leading this football team to victory throughout the year. They have everyone back healthy now. I just look at this defensive front and look how the 49ers like to run the football. I think it's going to be tough for the Vikings, the number 1 seed, to go on the road 2 weeks in a row and beat 2 13-3 football teams. I think it'll be a tough football game, but I think overall the 49ers, with their defense, will get some turnovers. They will force Kirk Cousins into mistakes. They can control the clock with their running game, the 49ers. I like the 49ers in a tough game.
49ers in a tough one. Second game, the Tennessee Titans travel to Baltimore. Baltimore with the bye last week. The number 1 seed, 14-2. In this game, 5 Heisman Trophy winners, 2 for the Titans and 3 for the Ravens. That's a lot of Heisman trophies at this game, but the main one is Lamar Jackson, who's getting ready to add an MVP award to the trophy case.
Wow, a lot of great players. And, when you start off with the Baltimore Ravens, you have to start off with Lamar Jackson. And here's someone that everyone did not think that he could be a quarterback in the league. Last year, you look at him in the playoffs. I mean, he had a terrible first half. I think he had only like 20-some yards overall. I think he had an 8% passer rate. He was able to lead that team back against the Chargers. What year in year 2 has made? He's the MVP, and I don't think we've ever seen a phenomenal quarterback play the position such as he's playing. He has over 1,200 yards rushing, which broke Michael Vick's record, and he's leading the league in passing touchdowns. Yes, he's leading the league in passing touchdowns. Everything starts with him, starts with that offensive line. They run the football, and they've got a good, solid defense behind them. I think the Titans, number 6 seed, they played as hard as they could last week, but right now they're going into a buzzsaw with this number 1 team. I like Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson, and honestly, I think this would be the one blowout there.
Yeah, it feels like with these point spreads after last weekend, hard to match that. We could have some blowouts. I'm with you on that. So first game on Sunday, 2:05, not at noon, 2:05. Chiefs at home at Arrowhead. Andy Reid got to the AFC Championship game last year. They faced the Texans that I thought they were very fortunate to win last weekend. Thank goodness for their sake they had Deshaun Watson. He was just better down the stretch than the Buffalo Bill quarterback.
Yes, the Texans were able to come back, and I look at their defense last week. You had J.J. Watt, what the energy that he brought, and was able to keep it at 16 for the second half, and Deshaun was able to do his thing. You look at the Texans when they played against the Chiefs earlier, I think it's a different game. The Texans won that football game 31-24, and I think the main difference was the control of the clock. I think they controlled the clock. I think it was a difference in 40 minutes. They was able to run the football. The Kansas City Chiefs defense is tremendously more better than they were in early October. They've been playing probably the best defense in the league. They're in the top 5 over the last month. That's the difference that I like in this. And I think when you look at Patrick Mahomes, he's healthy now. He has all of his weapons there. They're able to run the football. But if the Texans cannot get to a good start, they'll get ran out of the stadium because right now there's too many weapons. Deshaun Watson has got to have probably the game of his life in order for him to be able to win this football game. On the road, I just don't know if he's going to have enough to be able to compete for the healthy Kansas City Chiefs offense. Give me the Chiefs.
And it's all Andy Reid lacks. I think he's going to the Hall of Fame someday, but it's all he really lacks to just kick the door down is to win a Super Bowl. He's been there, and he was in the AFC Championship game last year, lost at home to New England. Andy Reid needs this one, doesn't he?
He definitely does. In a sense, he reminds me of Marv Levy. The difference is Coach Marv Levy was able to go to 4 Super Bowls, and he was AFC champ winners. When you look at Andy Reid, he's been to the Super Bowl. He loses to the Patriots. He's been in this position in the championships when he was with Philadelphia, with Dunham McNabb and that group, and he's been here with the Kansas City Chiefs. He needs this victory right here to be able to get back in that championship game. And I think right now his players love him. They want to go out and play. And I tell you what, the young phenom and Patrick Mahomes, he wants to go out and play. He wants to prove that he is the next face of the National Football League other than Deshaun Watson. It should be a great shootout, but I like the Chiefs.
And that's a good point about the next face, the next great quarterbacks in the NFL, and they always come through. I had some after, what are we going to do in football after Elway and Marino are done? Well, we're going to have more stars. What are we going to do after Peyton and Brady are done? Well, we're going to have more stars, and we've got the stars coming in Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and some other young quarterbacks, but it starts with those. Last game on Sunday, Aaron Rodgers, a guy that won a Super Bowl 9 years ago. This will be a long time in between Super Bowl wins if he got it. I think Tom Brady went 10 years until this last round of Super Bowl winning. But Russell Wilson in Seattle against Green Bay late on Sunday, 5:40 at Lambeau. We know it's going to be cold.
It definitely is, man. And you talk about a great game. When you look at both of these two teams, they do not like each other. We can go back 4 or 5 years when you look at the Hail Mary passes and things of that nature. What stands out to me is that out of the last 5 games, the home team has won. But with that being said, I like the Seattle Seahawks. I like what they've been able to put together. I like Russell Wilson. He's going on the road. He's playing on the road against Green Bay. And to me, Aaron Rodgers is not the same Aaron Rodgers under this new offense. I think it goes through Aaron, but it does not go through Aaron Rodgers. It goes through their running back, Aaron. He's running the football. They have to be able to get something going on the ground, and they're going against a defensive front that's pretty good. I just like Russell Wilson. There's something about Pete Carroll, something about Russell Wilson. I'm going to stay with the mobile quarterback to be able to run the football, to be able to control it, and be able to hit his receivers down the field. The Packers are giving up more yards per pass than any team in the playoffs right now. They're good short, but they're not good very deep. I like Russell Wilson to be able to get the ball to DK Metcalf and be able to throw the football underneath and get the running game going. Give me the upset. Give me the Seattle Seahawks.
Wow, the upset with the Seahawks. How many carries for Marshawn Lynch on Sunday in that Cole game?
I think Marshawn may get 10 to 15. It really depends on how early he can get things going. If he's running the football, he's getting some chunky yardage, I think we'll see more. If not, we'll see him in the goal line area. But it's important to me to see how physical that he can get in, see if he can get a run of 10, 15 early in the game, and that could change the complexion of the game. But I think everything is really going to be concentrated on Russell Wilson. I think he needs to get close to 100 yards rushing in order for him to pull this out, and I think he'll do it. Give me that upset with Seattle Seahawks.
So leg and arm on Sunday for the Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson in the upset. Russell Copeland, thank you for your time. I love the analysis and looking forward to these games. If by chance they could live up to last weekend, it'd be a lot of fun because those were spellbinding games last weekend.
Man, outstanding, and that's just the way you want to open the playoffs. And something else we didn't know, the New England Patriots that have such a great run, but I think it's good for the NFL. They're not in the playoffs right now. You'll see another champion, be crowned, and perhaps you may even be able to see another quarterback to be able to move up. Since Brady is getting older, I think it's good for the NFL that we'll see someone else get the Lombardi Trophy this year.
Russell, I so agree. It's just good for business, and it's not. I'm not hating on New England. I admire what they've done, but I wanted new blood. I really like the Saints, but I didn't mind Minnesota breaking through there and just providing some newer names and some newer teams and some fresher faces, because to keep that going for the league, you got to always have the new business, and they have it. I didn't mind how last weekend fell out at all.
And definitely, and if things go the way I kind of predict this week, when you look at next week as far as the championship, you look at Seattle going to San Francisco, and then you look at the Chiefs in Baltimore, and that would be an outstanding game. Either one of those four teams going to the Super Bowl should be very good. So we'll just see if my pick with the Seahawks, if they can be able to upset the Packers. But even if the Packers win, I still think that'll be a good game with the Seahawks. Either one of these teams that are left in, I think it's going to be some great Super Bowl matchups.
Russell, thank you. Enjoy the games, and we'll visit again next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
You got it. Russell Copeland talking NFL with us all year, and I like his picks. Kansas City Chiefs, one Super Bowl win ever. That was over Minnesota in New Orleans at Tulane Stadium in 1970. Minnesota, 4 Super Bowl losses. We know the San Francisco record. 5 wins, 1 Super Bowl loss. The loss in New Orleans at the Dome in Super Bowl 47 to Baltimore. The Titans, 0 Super Bowl wins, 1 Super Bowl loss. That was in the season of 99, Super Bowl of January of 2000 to the then St. Louis Rams. The Baltimore Ravens, 2 Super Bowl wins. They've never lost in a Super Bowl. They won over the New York Giants and San Francisco in their 2 Super Bowl wins. They are in a very, very elite company. The Baltimore Ravens, New York Jets, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the New Orleans Saints are the only teams undefeated all time in Super Bowls, but the Ravens, the only one of that group with more than 1 appearance.
And that's how we do it there in B-More, Brett. That we're going to win.
The Jets, it's been a while for them. Buccaneers with their 1 title, and the Saints over the Colts and Peyton Manning for their win. But Baltimore, they have 2 of them. Houston, they've never even made a championship game, along with Jacksonville, Cleveland, and Detroit, the only teams to not appear in a Super Bowl. Those other teams have at least been to a championship game. If Houston wins in Kansas City on Sunday afternoon, they will advance to their first AFC championship game ever. Seattle with the 1 Super Bowl win, the 2 Super Bowl losses in Green Bay. They won the first 2 Super Bowls. Brett Favre got 1. Aaron Rodgers got 1. They last won it 9 years ago. Had the 1 loss with Brett Favre losing to John Elway in San Diego. So newer blood, isn't it? It is. I agree with that with Russell.
Yeah, it's newer blood. I mean, it's
just getting New England off the scene.
Exactly. Once you get New England out, it's definitely newer blood. So I don't think there's any really bitterness against anybody who wins it, because it's going to be somebody new. I mean, the closest team that's in it right now that's won the last time would be Baltimore, right?
Yeah, you're for your team, the Ravens.
Obviously.
That's your team. But for me, I really don't care how it shakes out. the rest of the weekend. When we come back, we're going to rank the 8 quarterbacks and the 8 coaches that remain in these playoffs. We do that next. You're listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats and Drew Barrett on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Sports 56 now has 2 FM homes. You can now find Real Sports Talk on 96.1 as well as 87.7 on your FM dial.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
I'm here with the great Pat Donahue from the Rendezvous Restaurant Shipping Department.
Thanks, Brett. We've been shipping our ribs all over the country now for decades from our USDA-inspected shipping kitchen in the Pinch District. We hand-cook our ribs in pits that Mr. Charlie built over charcoal, just like they do at the restaurant.
What comes in a rib box?
We could do pork shoulder, we could do ribs, our sauce, seasoning, baked beans, coleslaw. We'll even throw in Pancho's cheese dip with our nacho boxes. We also put a bag of Rendezvous seasoned popcorn, heating instructions, some chef hats, some wet naps. We ship our ribs overnight, exclusively FedEx. And we don't ever want to use styrofoam, so we use corrugated cardboard, actually 2 boxes that fit nice together, so the ribs get to you, your loved ones, or your clients in a safe, wholesome manner.
Are y'all gearing up at the Rendezvous for the holiday season?
We've got ribs, shoulders, nacho boxes. We're stacking them high. The elves are working hard getting ready for the Christmas season. You can go to www.hogsfly.com or give us a call at 1-888-464-7359.
Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous Restaurant in the alley since 1948.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold? Medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The construction reduction event is on at Wolf Chase Honda. Exciting changes are in the works and inventory must be reduced. Get the best deals right now on all remaining 2019 Hondas while they last. Every new car, every certified, every used car, price to go. Get pre-approved now at wolfchasehonda.com. Wolf Chase Honda is expanding and our prices are dropping. Don't miss these savings. Act now. This huge construction reduction event ends soon.
For the best lineup of quality, fuel-efficient, and fun-to-drive vehicles, get to Wolf Chase Honda and Wolf Chase Nissan. Over 1,000 new certified and pre-owned vehicles in one great location. Catch the savings now during our huge model year-end sales event. Score an amazing deal at Wolf Chase Honda and Wolf Chase Nissan and get to the game in style at Germantown Road and Highway 64. Family-owned since 1981.
Now, more of Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Veritable heat wave on Sunday for Green Bay. High of 22.
Man, they're going to be in short sleeves, ain't they?
They will be. There'll be somebody with a shirt off. But it would have been if it's minus 22.
Right.
22 degrees. No way. No way I would set out in that. All right, top 8 quarterbacks, 8 coaches. I'll go first. Quarterbacks, it starts with Aaron Rodgers, 1, Russell Wilson, 2, Patrick Mahomes, 3. This year, probably MVP of the league. He will be. Lamar Jackson, 4, Deshaun Watson, 5, Jimmy Garoppolo, 6, Kirk Cousins, 7, and Ryan Tannehill. That was probably the easiest one to rank, Ryan Tannehill being 8th. Your top 8 quarterbacks of the teams remaining.
Our bottom 3 were correct. Were the same. So number 1, I actually put Patrick Mahomes at number 1, Russell Wilson 2, Lamar Jackson 3, Aaron Rodgers at 4, Deshaun Watson 5, Jimmy G, Kirk Cousins, and Ryan Tannehill.
So we did go 5 through 8 exactly, and you had Aaron Rodgers 3.
I had him at 4.
You had him at 4. The coaches, number 1 for me, he's got a Super Bowl title, John Harbaugh. Number 2, Super Bowl title, Pete Carroll. Number 3, it's all he lacks, Andy Reid being number 3. And then 4 through 8, almost any way you want to take them out of a hat. I guess Bill O'Brien 4 just by experience, maybe. Kyle Shanahan 5, Matt LaFleur 6, and then the Mikes. Mike Zimmer 7, and Mike Vrabel 8th.
First 3, exact same. John Harbaugh, Pete Carroll, Andy Reid. I had Mike Zimmer 4, Bill O'Brien 5. Then I had Kyle Shanahan, then Matt LaFleur, then Mike Vrabel at 8.
And very easily, Kyle Shanahan or Matt LaFleur could get to a Super Bowl. I don't know if either one can win it this year, but they can get to a Super Bowl. John Harbaugh could add a second one, and we know what that means. That means Hall of Fame for sure, if he's not already.
I think he's got to be. I mean, just wins and losses on its own, a Super Bowl victory, having won,
consistent franchise.
Consistent franchise, I think 3 or 4 divisions, been in the playoffs more times than he hasn't been. It seems like a Hall of Fame career to me.
The Ravens have really carved themselves as one of the establishment franchises in the league. It looks like, in Ozzie we trusted, and it had that continuity forever. That owner is always Bisciotti. He's been a good owner, kind of stays out of the way of the football people. And now with the daring move, when a lot of people are saying don't take Lamar Jackson, they did. They made him a quarterback.
They did make him a quarterback, and
he made him a winner.
He just proved that he really was a quarterback.
That's right.
And I'm never going to deny that I wasn't Team Joe Flacco, that I was a little upset when we decided to.
Well, he won one for you. That's why you were.
One. He won one for me. I considered him an elite quarterback at the time, but Lamar has proven me and so many other people wrong. And just John Harbaugh and the way that they've crafted this system around a playmaker like Lamar has been phenomenal.
When we come back, we'll go back to Wichita and we'll visit with Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal. He's courtside covering the Tigers on the Tiger Beat. That starts the 5 o'clock hour. Blake Lovell talking college basketball at 5:30. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats and Drew Barrett on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Tee it up at Edwin Watts Golf Shops and find your right fit. At Edwin Watts, they take customer service to a whole new level. Not only do they fit for clubs, they take pride in servicing customers throughout the entire store. They'll help you find the right shoes, bags, gloves, balls, apparel, and more. At Edwin Watts, you'll find name brand equipment at guaranteed lowest prices every day. So buy it, try it, they know you'll like it because Edwin Watts help you find the right equipment. Visit Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get custom fit today. Edwin Watts, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee.
The folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai want to say thank you. Thank you, Memphis, for another spectacular year. They set records, but I can understand why. You think about the product. Where else do you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty? That's what you get on every new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. Oh, and thank you again for the 11th straight year, the #1 certified pre-owned car dealership in all of Memphis. It starts with that product, but then it goes to the shopper assurance. Where else do you go where you get transparent pricing, flexible test drive, take the car for a couple of days if you want, streamlined buying process? You're not going to be there all day, in and out. And then, and I have not seen this anywhere else, the 3-day worry-free exchange. You buy a new car, if you've got any buyer's remorse, you've got 3 days to change your mind. Just get on Lamar, take it into Mississippi, the first exit's Craft Road, turn left, and go see Chris True and all the gang at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Pop Wigington has been in the restaurant business since the 70s and has now brought 3 generations of family favorites together under one roof at Pop's Comfort Kitchen, 2990 Kirby Whitten Parkway next to Kroger. Pop's takes you back to a simpler time when food and life was more wholesome. Settle down today for lunch or dinner at Pop's with daily specials like country fried steak, fried catfish, chicken and dumplings, or Pop's famous fried chicken livers, all served up with your choice of 23 fresh vegetables like field peas and snaps, seasoned green beans, sweet corn and turnip greens. Hungry for a sandwich? Check out the Chuck, a hand-patted cheeseburger between 2 grilled cheese buns topped with lettuce, tomato, diced onion, pickles, fried egg, and bacon. Or a half-pound flat iron steak sandwich served on Texas toast. Don't forget one of Grandma's homemade desserts like chess pie or banana pudding. Take comfort today at Pop's Comfort Kitchen, 2990 Kirby Whitten Parkway next to Kroger. Pop's Comfort Kitchen.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 115 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. So easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. Stock up heavy on all of your favorite Dinstall's treats. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
Fox Tonight.
Sheriff Bradford suffered a serious heart attack. You're the new sheriff of Los Angeles County.
You gotta be kidding me. I wish we were. Don't miss Fox's new hit drama, Deputy.
You are not a soldier anymore. You are a general.
He's the hero no one saw coming.
Enjoy those stars while you got them.
I will. Stephen Dorff stars in Deputy.
This department has lost its way.
I think you're exactly what they need.
Deputy, all new. Tonight at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM, 96.1, and 87.7 FM, as well as online around the world at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere on your phone or tablet by downloading the Sports 56 app, and at home, tell Alexa or Google to play Sports 56. If it's happening in the world of sports, we've got it covered. Wherever you are, stay tuned to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Dave in Wichita, where he will call the action tonight between the Tigers and Wichita State. Number 21 against number 23, 21st ranked Tigers against the 23rd ranked Wichita State Shockers. We go back to Wichita and visit with Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal after I tell you about the title sponsor of this hour, and that's DeSoto Auto Sales. They specialize in late model cars with low mileage and have very high standards at DeSoto Auto Sales. All the cars test-driven and checked out from head to toe, quite literally bumper to bumper, unlimited inventory, every make, every model, and if it's not on the lot at DeSoto Auto Sales, they'll go out and find it for you. No shortcuts taken at DeSoto Auto Sales, where when you walk in, you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees, laid-back, down-home environment. No high-pressure sales at DeSoto Auto Sales, but they do promise you this. They know we're living in a world today that time matters, and they want you to have the ultimate car experience. That means you walk in, test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, all in 45 minutes. Check them out online at DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Again, check out the referrals at DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County. Come on down to Goodman Road for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales. Back to Wichita. We visit with Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal. He's on the Tiger beat. And, Jason, I didn't think we would be talking about a two-game losing streak at any point this year. We could be if the Tigers drop this one to Wichita State.
We would be, and it's not going to be easy for them to avoid, for the Tigers to avoid that two-game losing streak. They'll tip off here at the Roundhouse, otherwise known as Coke Arena. they will tip off about 6 p.m. and yeah, it's not going to be, everything that I've heard about this place is one of the toughest environments for opponents to have to deal with, and so I fully expect, this being a ranked opponent and a team that, Memphis is the last team to beat Wichita State on its home court. So I don't think many people in this country have forgotten that, and they're going to make it tough for the Tigers tonight.
And when you walked in tonight, did you think you were walking into Tad Smith Coliseum in Oxford?
No, funny.
It looks a lot like it, though, doesn't it? I'm sorry, Jason. We're having trouble hearing you. Are you in a sketchy cell area?
I might be. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay. Yeah, it feels like Reed Green Coliseum down in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, my old stomping ground.
Yeah.
The University of Mississippi played its basketball games.
Boy, Jason, the cell gods are not being kind to us. Whatever area of the arena you're in right now, we're not able to hear you very clearly. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Okay, now much better for that. Tonight, okay. to avenge the Georgia game on Saturday, if the Tigers are able to accomplish that, not like it'll be forgotten, but this is more important just by the necessity of a road conference game.
Yeah, I mean, of course, any conference game is huge, and this one is no different. I mean, it is a top 25 opponent, and that's big, and it's on the road, and that's also big. The more games you can steal on the road, the better off you feel. Down the stretch. But yeah, no, this is a conference game. It's the second one of the season for both teams, and yeah, both teams are 1-0 right now. And as Greg Marshall put it earlier this week, he told reporters that whoever wins this game is probably going to be looking up at the other team.
That's right.
The rest of the way. And so that again, you can't really overstate just how big of a game this is for both teams.
Last time the Tigers lost to Wichita State in that arena in Wichita, January 8th, 1976. So it's been a while, and I think it was the win of the year for Penny Hardaway last year in his first year as a head coach to go up and do that against a Final Four coach like Greg Marshall.
Oh, I'd agree. That was the narrative pretty much all season last year in Penny Hardaway's first year. It was like, we don't expect a whole bunch out of the team. Whatever we can get, we'll be happy with. But so that made the narrative, the overriding narrative. Can Penny Hardaway coach, and can he actually coach? And because he had only coached in high school and AAU and junior high before that. So, for him to go out against a guy like Greg Marshall, who has, this guy's, I don't know if legend is quite, if he's quite there yet.
It's close.
Certainly he's been here 14 years and had a tremendous amount of success. So, it for him to come up here and beat Greg Marshall on his home floor in his first season was very, very big.
And we see now how very popular from his playing days and from being a Memphian, Coach Penny Hardaway was, but when John Calipari had it going here, how he kind of ran the town. It is Greg Marshall's town, isn't it?
Oh, without a doubt. I don't want to say, I think the expression, that so-and-so is a god at this place or that place is a little bit much, but no, he's an icon around here. And, it's this, I've got some family up here in Wichita, and, they tell me every chance they get just how much he means to this area. And he does. It's like I've been around town a little bit yesterday and today, and it's all anybody talks about.
Yeah.
And as soon as we got off the plane yesterday, his voice was going over the intercom system in the airport, a lot like Penny Hardaway is a spokesman for the Memphis airport.
And with this beat, you get a lot of passion and a lot of fervor. And on Saturday, I think it surprised people when DJ Jeffries couldn't go. It was just simply that he was just ailing on Saturday. The rumors I fended off in the days after that. Some wanting to talk about grades. He's fine. He's playing tonight, isn't he?
Talking to I would say he looks he's healthy enough.
Jason, I'm sorry you broke up. Repeat that again, please.
Well, I would just say that Damian Baugh is probably if DJ Jeffries is healthy, I would say Damian Baugh is at least healthy enough to go. He looks a little bit a little more run down than DJ does, but they're both going to give it a shot tonight.
Yeah, they're both going to give it a shot and be ready to go. And I think guard play is really big tonight for the Tigers and to loosen up that zone. One of the themes in visiting with you this year, the Tyler Harris, we're not asking, 6 or 7 made threes, just 1 or 2. He didn't do that Saturday. Need that to loosen it up for Precious Chua inside.
Oh, without a doubt. That was there were a few things in that game against Georgia where if you changed one of them, if you make a few more free throws, if you make a few more free throws, if you have DJ Jeffries, if Tyler Harris makes 1 shot or 2 shots out of the 5 that he took, he was 0 for 5 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3. That certainly is a game changer in the way the circumstances played out against Georgia. So you're absolutely right. Tyler Harris has to produce some points in order for Memphis to be the best Memphis they can be.
One last thing for you, Jason Munns, with the Commercial Appeal, and thank you for joining us today right before the game starts. You don't have long. You got to get to your position courtside. With you talking about one thing changes a game, and one loss can change a season. The whole complexion now of the rest of the schedule, it looks a little tougher now than it did a week ago with that one loss. Now, the road trip to Wichita State, the road trip Sunday, Cincinnati at home after winning big last night over Tulsa, then a road trip to Tulsa, SMU at home. This Tiger schedule doesn't look as easy as it did before the Georgia loss.
No, I completely agree. I will say that whenever, we all remember when James got suspended, for lack of a better word, he, was going to sit out 12 games, and a lot of people predicted that 10-2 was probably the best case scenario for this team during that 12-game stretch, and this would be the last game.
That's right.
If he was still in school, this would be the last game. I would say, if we rewind back to when he got suspended, that we kind of expected a 10-2 situation after 12 games, but it does. No, it does sort of take a little bit of the wind out of the sails.
But you can get a lot of wind back behind them with that road win tonight. Jason, thank you for your time today, and we will visit with you next Wednesday at our normal time, and we look forward to doing it. Be safe tonight. Thank you.
Okay.
Jason Munns with the Commercial Appeal on the road with the Tigers. Courtside tonight against Wichita State. Last Tiger loss in Wichita again, January 8th, 1976. So 2-0 last year for Penny Hardaway against Wichita State, and one of those up there, and I thought it was his best win of the year. After that loss to Georgia last Saturday, with everything with Tiger basketball, you always hear a lot of stuff, and you got to really, kind of be able to weigh what good information is and what's not. DJ Jeffries was merely ill last Saturday, missed a game. I think if he had played, they'd have won the game. I don't think the Tigers will get the benefit of that doubt at the selection committee like some teams might with a star player out in a 3-point loss. That's unfortunate.
They definitely won't, because if they were going to, they would have gotten that benefit of the doubt with the polls. If you're going to get the benefit of the doubt in March, you might as well get it, back here in January.
Polls punished them.
Not dropping down 11, but I completely agree. I think DJ Jeffries makes a huge difference in that game. It probably has about 12, 14 points. Now, that doesn't mean that we beat Georgia by 12 to 14 points, because obviously that just takes points away from somebody else.
You get to rest Precious Achua a little more, and he was really laboring down the stretch.
He played, I think, 38 minutes Saturday against Georgia. You get to rest Precious. DJ comes in. comes in there and attacks the boards like he does, gets it down low. Having him the last 2 minutes where you could not get it down low to Precious Achiuwa, even though that was your plan and that's what you wanted to do, because let's face it, Precious had the size and was killing him down low. They were double teaming him down low in those final 2 minutes. You have DJ Jeffries in that ball game at that point. It takes pressure off of that. It singles Precious up to where who knows if we can't end up getting the ball in and getting the ball in the basket.
360-8255. Your thoughts on tonight's game at the First Bank phone line or at 67129 at the First Bank text line. First Bank, experienced Memphis bankers that you know and trust. They all have deep Memphis roots in banking and business experience and expertise. Visit firstbankonline.com. And First Bank, they know what you need. You need a reliable, trustworthy Memphis banker that can give you an answer, that make the decisions about you right here in Memphis for you or for your business concern. Not in Atlanta, not in Nashville, not in Birmingham, not in Knoxville, but right here at home. A direct answer from the First Bank banker you're dealing with. First Bank, they have stories and a record of customers reaching high. Community banks are the preferred lender of people building a success story. Build your success story with First Bank. Visit firstbankonline.com. That's firstbankonline.com. So tonight for the Tigers, the big game against Wichita State. Tomorrow night for the Grizzlies against San Antonio. Did you think we would have this much anxiety with the Tigers in January and this kind of good feeling with the Grizzlies in January when we kicked this basketball season off late October or middle of October for the Grizzlies and 1st of November for the Tigers? I thought it would be easy for the Tigers. It's never easy.
It is never easy in
and
college
I should know
basketball.
better.
You're right. And I don't know if anxiety is really the right word to think about right now. I mean, still early in the season, just entering conference play in a conference where you can easily go, you play 18 conference games, could easily go 17-1. And the one loss might be tonight. I mean, just the level of talent that is the American Athletic Conference.
I don't know if they can go 17-1.
I honestly think they can. I think the conference is down compared to last year. You know, Cincy's not what Cincy's been in the past. Houston's not what Houston's been in the past. Neither is SMU. UConn is still trying to drag their way back up. And Central Florida isn't anything without Taco Fall. South Florida doesn't have any type of a threat. Aren't a lot of the
conferences kind of looking like that right now, waiting for some definition? The AAC is not as good as I thought it would be.
No.
There are a couple teams that I was expecting a little more from. I'm still thinking that Houston will be mostly that. Mostly. Wichita State tonight.
Wichita State, obviously. But right now, I mean, that's really your only competition in
SMU?
conference. I don't see it. I don't.
I still want to say maybe. Cincinnati, I don't know about. Maybe not top of the conference and not an NCAA tournament team. Big Ten right now, probably the leader of all conferences. The SEC, scuffling.
I'm not saying that Houston, SMU, or Cincy can't be NCAA teams. What I'm saying is that if we're going tier system right now, the only person in the same tier as the Tigers is Wichita State.
That's undeniable because that has been ranked. So tonight against Wichita State and then Sunday, how noisy after tonight if it's a loss?
Pretty noisy when it shouldn't be. I really don't think it really should be noisy. Wichita State is a great team right now. They're favored by, I think, 5.5 points going into the matchup with the tip at 6 o'clock. And you lose at an arena that is sold out, over 200 straight games?
A lot of people, I won't say everybody, but a lot doing preseason wins and losses with James Wiseman had this as a loss tonight.
All three of us did. All three had this as the first loss of the season.
So I don't think it should be. I don't think it should just be real wild and real noisy. But we know the.
But there's gonna be people that act like we just lost against East Carolina at home.
Because of Georgia on Saturday, and I just think Georgia it's like a lot of the AAC teams, a lot of the SEC teams are like that, just pretty good. Kind of middle-of-the-road teams, nothing real special.
Well, Georgia really helped their case with the way that they did play against Kentucky on Tuesday. It was a loss, but
at home.
At home, but it does help them a bit, with the way that they played against Memphis, obviously without DJ Jeffries, and then now playing against a good Kentucky team. I think I think Georgia could be an NCAA team. I mean, I think they've got, like we said yesterday, I think they've got Dayton probably written all over it, but I think they're easily there at a 12 seed. And as far as Wichita State goes for tonight, remember that this is a good Greg Marshall team, a team that just because we beat them twice last year doesn't mean we're going to do it again. That last year was a rebuilding year, to where if you're going to get Wichita State on the schedule back and with the home and home is when you definitely need to get it. So therefore this year, if you lose, don't overreact. It's not like losing to East Carolina at home. It's not like losing to Tulane at home. This is Wichita State. This is a program that's been to 2 Final Fours and has incredible history and will just continue to rise the ladder. So the drama that could come tomorrow after a loss isn't needed because there's still so much more left in the season. Conference play is just getting going, and I think even if you lose tonight, Tigers can easily go at the bare minimum, I think, 15-3.
Yeah, our friend Shelby Mass from BracketWag.com, the official bracketologist for USA Today in the Gannett newspapers, he will join us starting the Monday after the Super Bowl. Do you know where he has the Tigers today in his bracket?
I'm going to guess.
What seed line?
I'm going to guess 5.
6.
6.
He has the Tigers as a 6, so that would be starting against an 11 seed. That would be Wisconsin. Horrible first-round matchup. Horrible. That would be almost hypnotic to play against them.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want it, but that's what happens when you get in that 6 range right there. 6 and 11 is always a very tough matchup. It's always one of those seedings. I think we're the 11 seed, if they don't have a higher winning percentage, it's right there against any other type of seeding matchup. When you're looking for your first round upsets, it always seems to come out of that 6-11, 7-10 range.
Yeah, right now the one lines for Shelby, he's got Duke, Kansas, Baylor, Gonzaga. That's 2 pretty big blue bloods right there with Duke and Kansas. The 2 line, West Virginia, Butler, Auburn, and San Diego State, 2 undefeated teams in Auburn and San Diego State, and Auburn in the Final Four last year. The 3 line, Michigan State, Dayton, Florida State, and Oregon. The 4 line, Wichita State, Maryland, Ohio State, Louisville. The 5s, Michigan, Kentucky, Villanova, Penn State. And then with the Tigers on the 6 line, Colorado, Arizona, and Seton Hall. So obviously tonight a win would get you a lot of cred at Shelby's bracket just by beating the team that's at the 4 line in Wichita State.
You definitely think it would give you a lot of cred to move up, and obviously Wichita State would move down. But at the end of the day, how much, if right now the NCAA tournament was to start today and the Tigers are 6th seed, how much could they ultimately move up? Up to 4? I don't see possibly 3 if you go undefeated in conference, but I don't see them getting past that 3 mark now.
Well, it starts with tonight.
It does start tonight, but do you think even if we run through 18-0 in conference, could we get above a 3?
I don't think they're going 18-0 in conference. I didn't think they were going 18-0 in conference with James Wiseman. I thought they were going to lose at least twice, once to Wichita State and at Houston, and maybe even 2 other times. I think I had on the road at Cincinnati and on the road at UConn. I don't know if I believe that now.
No, I definitely don't believe the UConn one.
And sure wouldn't have with James Wiseman. With James Wiseman, and I guess we got to get over it, but it will always kind of hang over this season unless you win it all. Unless it's one shining moment playing, it will always be that feeling of what if. Now, we know they lost with him once out at Oregon, and I didn't think that would happen. All year I thought that was going to be the big showcase night. But it happened. A really good plan by Dane Altman. But that will hang over this year forever unless they win it all. Maybe go to the Final Four. That would take a little sting out of it. I don't know. You get that far, you know you're going to win it with him.
I don't know how much it's really going to hang over your head, just because expectations, yes, they were high. They were Final Four high, but I don't know if realistically anybody truly believed that this was a Final Four year. I know number 1 recruiting class. I know number 1 prospect.
I picked them in the Final Four. My Final Four
was that night not high hopes? So I mean, was it you true realistic?
Kansas,
put money on it.
Kansas, Louisville, Kentucky, Memphis was my Final Four.
But was it 07, 08 hype? I mean, really, realistically?
No, because I don't think you have you don't have the returning player like an Antonio Anderson from 07, 08. You don't have any of the roster stability anymore around college basketball for a lot of teams like that.
So therefore, I mean, I don't think that the hype was there as far as what people were saying, but I think deep down, truly, I don't think we believed it, what we were saying, as much as we did in 07, 08. If you don't make it to the Final Four National Championship in 07, 08, that is a disappointment. Well, that is a what if.
Well, Drew, another difference in that period of Tiger basketball, you saw if they make a shot at all in 06, they go to the Final Four instead of UCLA. And then in 07, they run into Greg Oden and Mike Conley in a really good Ohio State team that went to the Final Four. So you'd kind of led into that. But your premise, I think, is mostly right. Would have almost guaranteed it, especially with the addition of Derrick Rose that year, of at least going to the Final Four, and ultimately went to the Final Two and could have, should have won.
Yeah, just the fact of only really 3 returning players on the roster, so many freshmen. Yes, probably pure talent-wise, the most talented roster that has ever played at the University of Memphis, just by pure talent, not W's and L's or meshing together, but just pure talent. Statistic-wise, you thought it was the best Tiger team to ever assemble, but I don't think that it's going to be one of these 30 for 30 questions. What if I told you James Wiseman never moved from Nashville? I don't think it's going to be that big of a what if. I think, seriously, I still believe if you hang up a banner of 16, 8, 4 national championship, as long as you hang up a banner that matters, which starts at 16, the season's still a success. I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, the 2010 to 2019 was the first decade since the 70s where the Tigers haven't reached an Elite Eight. So
the Tigers went Final Four in 73.
That hadn't reached at least an Elite Eight is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I think you hang a banner a meaningful banner for the first time since 09, so first time in 11 years, you hang a meaningful banner, it's going to matter.
Texter at 67129 at the First Bank text line says, okay, say we go and lose to South Florida on Sunday, then can we panic? We'll address that when we get to it. When we come back, we talk more college basketball. We do it with Blake Lovell from Blue Ribbon Magazine and Clutch Point apps. That's next. You're listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats and Drew Barrett on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Take Sports 56 with you on your phone or tablet. Download our official Sports 56 app today.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 1616 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 1616. Enjoy.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Red Mat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Limb Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC-accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Limb Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselimbembrace.com.
Dedicated our life to yours. Wolf Chase Limb and Brace.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Welcome back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
Here once again
are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
We visit with Blake Lovell at this time on Thursday to talk college basketball near and far. SEC play underway. Auburn remaining undefeated nationally with San Diego State, the only two undefeated teams left in college basketball. I don't know how long that will remain, but San Diego State with the road win last night and Auburn with the win over Vanderbilt last night to remain undefeated. Auburn, they go to the Final Four last year, and they carry into this year undefeated. That's Bruce Pearl. We have talked and we have extolled the virtues of Bruce Pearl plenty, and he deserves that for sure. He can really coach, and if he had stayed at Tennessee, I don't know what he would have built, but it would have probably been something really big. But it came undone, and now he is doing it at Auburn. Gonzaga 16-1. They play later tonight, real late tonight. Gonzaga plays tonight at San Diego, not San Diego State, but San Diego, the team the Tigers saw in the NIT last year. That's the San Diego Toreros. I think that's David Fisdale's alma mater. We talk now with Blake Lovell from Clutch Points app and Blue Ribbon Magazine. Good start to the college basketball season, Blake. I've talked about Auburn and San Diego State remaining undefeated. I don't think either one are going to join 76 Indiana in winning it all and remaining undefeated. Do you?
I don't think so. I think that's going to be a hard task there, Brett. I guess if you look at San Diego State's schedule, certainly, if you look at the rest of the season, it's a possibility. You would expect them to fall probably at some point, but they don't have the worst schedule in the world the rest of the way. And then, of course, we know with Auburn, who continues just to find ways to win. That's not always pretty, against like it was against Vanderbilt, but it's still a situation where they keep winning games, but staying undefeated in the SEC is going to be hard to do.
We saw Georgia last Saturday, and I thought it was a good team, nothing real special. Then they had a pretty special first 30 minutes or so against Kentucky, but Kentucky able to get that win at Stegman. Kentucky needed that, and I think Kentucky, like a lot of John Calipari teams, with every trip out, they get better and better.
Yeah, no, that's the way it is, and I think we've talked about that, many times throughout the years, that this is when they start to sort of make their move here, and they're not going to be perfect throughout January probably, but then when they get to February, they'll be a little better, and then when they get to that SEC tournament here in Nashville, they'll probably be sort of clicking, and I think that's just kind of what we've come to expect. I keep saying this about a lot of different teams around the country. Not everyone's Kentucky, inexperienced to that level, but that's just the case with an experienced team. Sometimes it takes a while to work things out, and now you look up at Kentucky, like we said, sitting here, a team that's won 3 in a row, some solid wins. Certainly the win against Louisville is huge, and now, gets to come back home and play a pretty hot Alabama team. If Kentucky can win that one, once again, we're kind of looking up at the SEC standings and saying, well, there's Kentucky, Florida, and Auburn, and those have kind of been the 3 teams. Throw LSU in there, too. They've really been right there the past couple of years.
You throw LSU in there. They had a terrific win last night at home. Tough loss for Arkansas. And it was a real chance for Arkansas to start on a roll with the win last week and then win on the road last night and then maybe a win Saturday afternoon against Oxford. And best laid plans, what sometimes happens to those. But that was a well played, tough game and tough for Arkansas to lose. But Eric Musselman showing he's going to make he's going to make a lot of waves this year.
Yeah, no, they're a team that again, I mean, I would admit they're a team that I had no idea what to expect from them going into this season. They were probably in that same group with a team like South Carolina, some of these other teams. We just didn't. I mean, even Vanderbilt, throw them into the mix. You just didn't know what you were going to get from these teams because of the makeup of the roster, and in this specific case, because you had a new coach, it was pretty much going to change, a lot of the things that they tried to do. I think what really stood out to me, and this is the thing we're going to have to watch with on Arkansas moving forward, and it's something we already knew was going to be something that we were going to be talking about, and that's their rebounding. In a league like this, it's great to be able to get off to the start they've gotten off to in pre-conference play and all that, but now that you're getting into the SEC and you're playing teams that are going to be a lot bigger in size every single night, and even LSU, smaller than they were last year, but, I mean, LSU out-rebounds them. I think it was about 29 last night, got 23 offensive rebounds. That's something that could wind up being a pretty big concern for this Arkansas team. They're going to have to rebound better in a night-in, night-out basis in the SEC. It didn't hurt them as much in pre-conference play, but now that they're playing these teams that are just so athletic, night in, night out, that's something they got to focus on if they want to keep kind of be in that tournament picture, I think.
Yeah. When you're that green light and fearless to shoot the threes, not be worried about missing them, you got to go get the misses. And Arkansas couldn't last night against LSU. Will Wade, will he ever get out of the cloud of controversy over him?
To be honest, I don't know that he will, and I think it's something that even if there's a resolution one way or the other, and certainly you could argue that there's already been a resolution in a certain sense, but either way, I just don't know, how it's going to kind of unfold, and I think on a national level, it's just the way people are going to look at it. LSU fans may have a different story of the whole thing, but I think on a national level, given everything that came out, we know. I mean, it's the thing. It's the situation with how it works now in media. There's just so much access to everything. We're always going to know probably about every little thing that comes out now because there is Twitter, there's Facebook, there's just all sorts of ways to spread information. And it's something people will continue to bring up no matter what happens, I think, moving forward. But again, to me, I guess you sort of have to look at where we are right now. And where we are right now is that, I mean, LSU's a pretty good basketball team, and they're one that's probably, I'd be surprised if they're not right up there once again, having an opportunity to compete for another league title this year.
Last night, North Carolina with another loss after Roy Williams, I think, really assailed his team. What did you think of his comments about his team? They were all true, but I don't know. I don't know if it really needed to be said at this juncture in the season, but he said it, and then they go out and lose again to Pitt.
Yeah, I mean it's something where look, Roy is who he is. He's never going to be someone that holds back. I think he's always been that way. We've known that, and it's not that surprising because he's just he's always sort of told it like it is, and maybe not in the best setting. Of course, I think a lot of people would argue that. But the results too, I guess, kind of speak for themselves in terms of how this team is playing, and it's certainly not where we expected this team to be right now. And obviously, I mean, anybody who's followed this team this year knows there's a lot that's gone into it injury-wise and all that, and certainly to come back home and lose 2 straight games to teams that have traditionally in the past several years been right there near the bottom of the ACC. It's just not something you're happy about, and I know he's not happy. And like I said, though, that can also play into he's going to let you know if he's not happy, and we've sort of seen that the way it's played out recently.
And Dave and I both talked about it the other day when the comments first came out. He's in charge of his recruiting. He assembled that team.
Yeah, no, it's true, and that's the thing. I mean, that's why I think we look at situations, and certainly, I'm not comparing this to the exact same situation, but I think there is sort of a similar dynamic. When we look back last year, let's think about how we looked at a team like Vanderbilt, who, went out for the first time, got the, 2 5-star players ranked in the top 15, top 20 in the country. Darius Garland's playing in the NBA now for the Cavs. Timmy Shittu was right there in that same, league in terms of what the expectations were for him. And then what happens? You lose Garland, and Vanderbilt becomes the first SEC team in a long, long time to not win a league game. And, how was the rest of the roster constructed? And it just, it wasn't enough to overcome something like that. And that's where we look at a situation like this where, it's just not, they haven't been able to overcome, the injury situation there with Cole Anthony. And it's just something where that's what we say, recruiting's, it's not always easy in terms of just saying, okay, well, I've got the 5 stars here and the 5 stars there. But like we're saying, what happens if one of these guys gets injured? What happens if one of these guys really disappoints? And as we're seeing, it's a scenario where sometimes there's just not enough to make up for it, and that's what we're kind of seeing with this North Carolina team.
Just not enough. And North Carolina, in his defense, they're not unlike a lot of teams, if not most teams. Look at Memphis. Never mind Wiseman, but last Saturday with DJ Jeffries suffering from the flu, you take him out of the lineup, and I think that led to the loss to Georgia.
Yep, no, I completely agree. And that's where, it's one of those things where it's a great win for Georgia, but you also have to look at it, like we said, in a situation where, if he plays, it's a different game, and there's no doubt about it. Anybody who's watched play, anybody who's watched Memphis play, it's just a completely different game if he's on the court. And so there are, and those are things, we have to say this too, those are things certainly you can try to prepare for in recruiting, but you probably, I guess, never really know until you get these guys out on the court, because I think this goes back to sort of the John Calipari thing we say every year where, yes, he gets the top players and, Duke is the same, but we never know chemistry-wise how all those guys are going to fit together. There's no way of knowing. And so even if you get 1 through 5, if a coach went out and got the top 5 high school recruits in the country and put them all and said, here you go, here's my starting 5 for next year, they're the 5 most talented players in the entire country. Well, that's great, but we have no idea how their games are going to fit together. And I think sometimes it's easy for coaches to kind of look at it and say, well, yes, we'll find a way to make it work because they're so talented. But as we see, over the years, and this isn't just this year, it's not last year, we've seen this many years now. It's just sometimes it's not going to fit together, and you have those scenarios where when it doesn't, you have a really unpredictable team.
And Blake, the fits and starts and the ebb and flow of a season, and now a newer dynamic for a lot of guys. You're worried about playing time late November, early December. A coach is worried about how he's playing guys, because if you're not getting enough playing time, you're out of here into the transfer portal, and you're eligible somewhere next December.
Yeah, don't let anybody tell you that the coaches have an easy job, and that's like we said. It goes back to the talent thing too. Don't let anybody tell you that all these coaches at these traditional powers have an easy job just because they have the most talent. It's never that easy, and especially now, like you said, where a guy can say, "Okay, well, I came here as someone who was expected to be, playing 30 minutes a game. Now I'm only playing 15 or 18 or whatever." Well, I'm just going to transfer to not necessarily a mid-major school, but maybe a school where I know I'm going to go in and play 35 minutes a game and get 20 shots. And it's just, there's a lot of teams in college basketball, and it's not, like we say, there's a lot of teams that will welcome in guys like that because, like it or not, it's the nature of the game right now. And I think what's going to be really interesting is, once we get rid of this one-and-done rule, how does that change everything in terms of the transfers and all that? Because the talent pool, what's it going to look like? There's so many dynamics where I think we're at a really interesting point in college basketball where we're going to see some things change, and it could change sort of dramatically in terms of how these rosters are made up from both the power conference schools at the very top to the teams at the very bottom in terms of just how things look, how that continues to close the gap between those upper-tier teams and the mid-major teams that we've already talked about. I think it's going to be pretty fascinating to see how it unfolds.
We did our predictions for the new year for 2020, and nationally, one of mine was going to be, it is, once again, we will have a Final Four without a legitimate blue blood there. And I don't think we did. I don't think we had one last year, unless you count Michigan State. I don't, so that suffices as we didn't last year. This year, it may not even be somebody of the Michigan State resume there. It could be 4 really anonymous teams there this year.
Yeah, no, it really could. And that's where we talk about teams. You go down the time. Look at a team like Dayton. Certainly with one of the best players in the country, period, you throw a team like that into the mix. And hey, I mean, San Diego State, like we talked about earlier, yeah, we don't expect them to go undefeated, but yeah, throw Auburn in there. That's what we say. I mean, they got there last year, and as I keep telling people, no, they're not
Baylor.
the same team. But yeah, Baylor. Baylor's another one you can throw in there. And I know Butler's kind of a different situation because maybe it's not exactly, the Butler team that we see from when Brad Stevens was there, but it's still a thing where if Butler gets there, it's one of those where it's not, I guess, that big of a surprise anymore because of what that program has become. But you probably still throw them in that same type of mix. So no, it's going to be very fascinating. I mean, even a team like Florida State, look at what Leonard Hamilton keeps doing there. It's just, that's what makes this thing fun, is that we're not in a situation anymore. I loved watching those powerhouse teams, whatever, of the 90s, the late 80s, all of that. They were a lot of fun to watch, but you knew they were going to get there, and you pretty much knew what the matchup was going to be. And that's great for a lot of people. But for others, just getting this whole weird dynamic of looking around and saying, I can see 25 different teams make it to the Final Four, and then probably see two teams that are not even in that list make it there. That's what makes it exciting.
Blake, it's wide open if we talk about Butler and Gonzaga as almost the establishmentarians.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, they're the teams now that, it's not easy to sustain success. And, especially I think at programs like that, and if people can, look at that and certainly talk about the Zags and say, well, look at their conference and all this. But I'll be one to tell you, WCC's gotten a lot better. It's not easy for them, nowhere near as easy as maybe it would have been 5-6 years ago. And like we said with Butler, I mean, they're playing in the Big East, and we see how things are in the Big East this year. And the fact that they're sitting here right now at 14-1, and really, as we're saying, look like a legit national title type of team. Their only loss is at Baylor by a point. Pretty incredible job there by LaValle Jordan.
Blake, enjoy the basketball. A busy schedule Saturday in the SEC and around all of college basketball, and some great games tonight, including one that we'll all be watching here when the Tigers go to Wichita to play, or in Wichita to play Wichita State. Thank you. We'll visit again next week. Enjoy, Blake. Thank you.
Sounds great, Brad. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Blake Lovell talking college basketball with us on Thursday from Blue Ribbon Magazine and Clutch Point apps and Marching to Madness podcasts. I want to tell you about Jason's Deli. I was there today, and all the soups and all the salads so good, and I was into the soup today with the great chili. I think the best chili in town. People ask me, do you live here? Are you here every day? Yeah, well, a lot of days, yeah. Mostly I'm there because the food's great and the hospitality at Jason's Deli. All these locations, all terrific. At Ridgeway Road, Poplar and Highland, Olive Branch, and Cordova. If you're getting ready to watch the Tigers, you need to hustle over there now. You can order on the app or call now and get an order for the game watching party tonight. The catering anytime, anywhere. And you go inside the restaurant, you wrap it up with the free ice cream. Jason's Deli, all about choice, regardless if you seek a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals. If you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selection, you'll be delighted at Jason's Deli. All the locations, Olive Branch, Cordova, Poplar and Highland, and Ridgeway Road. All the salads, all the soups, all the meats, breads, cheeses, and spreads at Jason's Deli. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com. Plenty of organic food to choose from, and the great salad bar, over 30 items just on the salad bar to choose from at Jason's Deli. They'll be watching the game tonight and pulling hard for the Tigers. You know that. When we come back, we wrap up this Thursday afternoon with Taco Bell Crunch Time. That's next. You're listening to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats and Drew Barrett on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
The Peter Edmiston Experience with C.J. Hurt. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Only on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Frontier Western Store in Olive Branch is your one-stop shop for apparel and boots. Cold weather is here, and Frontier's selection of Carhartt winter gear is just what you need. Shop a wide assortment of jeans, dungarees, vests, bib overalls, and coats, including Carhartt's classic Sherpa and quilt line jackets. You'll find Carhartt quality at that Frontier low price. A new year brings plenty of new arrivals in Frontier's ladies' boutique department. Dresses, tunics, tops, printed and solid leggings, and so much more. Thousands of tops, t-shirts by Simply Southern, as well well as on-trend shoes and fashion boots. And finally, there's the world-famous Frontier Boots showroom. Thousands of name-brand boots for men, women, and children. Ariat, Corral, Rocky, Dan Post, and many more. From rugged work boots to classic dress boots, Frontier has your next favorite pair. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road, Olive Branch, or on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Family owned and operated since 1967.
The construction reduction event is on at Wolf Chase Honda. Exciting changes are in the works and inventory must be reduced. Get the best deals right now on all remaining 2019 Hondas while they last. Every new car, every certified, every used car, price to go. Get pre-approved now at wolfchasehonda.com. Wolf Chase Honda is expanding and our prices are dropping. Don't miss these savings. Act now. This huge construction reduction event ends soon.
For the best lineup of quality, fuel-efficient, and fun-to-drive vehicles, get to Wolf Chase Honda and Wolf Chase Nissan. Over 1,000 new certified and pre-owned vehicles in one great location. Catch the savings now during our huge model year-end sales event. Score an amazing deal at Wolf Chase Honda and Wolf Chase Nissan and get to the game in style at Germantown Road and Highway 64. Family-owned since 1981.
We know what you really want is to go to Sunrise on Jefferson and enjoy a nice leisurely breakfast or lunch made fresh and fast. But a lot of the time, you just don't have the time. That's why if you're in a hurry, the way to go is to call ahead to Sunrise and place your order. That way, all you have to do is swing by, go to the carryout entrance, and walk away with all the sweet deliciousness that is Sunrise. Only quick and taken wherever you're in a hurry to be. Everybody's in a rush some of the time, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy Sunrise whenever and wherever.
Welcome back to Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Well, tonight should be fun. Much discussed and very important from when the schedule came out. Again, with James Wiseman, we knew this one was going to be tough on the road against Wichita State, especially after last year and the win by Coach Penny Hardaway against Greg Marshall, one of the titans of the game. So it's going to be fun action. It starts just in a few minutes, so we got to get out of here and get to Taco Bell Crunch Time where we can watch the game.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working?
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
We'll take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Boop, boop, boop. That's what you're getting. Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. I'm glad we're playing for the big stakes we're playing for in Hoop City. We went inside Hoop City with Elliot Perry today. It was fun talking about both teams. The Grizzlies are playing for a lot more than we thought when we did preseason predictions, and the Tigers with a little more intrigue and a little more angst around the season than we thought they would be, and they're being challenged a little more than we thought they would be. But it makes for good fun and compelling. We always want a good story. One true thing in sports, it's never easy. And another one, winning never gets old. What were you glad to hear today?
Oh, what I learned today was I learned today that the Mountain West announced that it has agreed to terms on a new media rights deal with CBS Sports Network and Fox that will run through 2025 and 2026. A 6-year contract is valued at $270 million for the contract that will allow 23 Mountain West Conference football games to CBS Sports Network, Fox, and Fox Sports 1, along with 10 additional games that can be added to CBS's streaming platform.
That's a good deal for that league.
Great deal. And also Fox gets dibs on any Boise game.
Of course they do.
Of course they do.
Boise with that elevated grand old man of the game status, aren't they? Did they earn that?
I think they have by now. I mean, we're looking at close to 20 years.
They made that
solid Boise team.
They made that Statue of Liberty go a long way, didn't they?
They did, but that was 16 years ago, and they haven't stopped.
Yeah, they keep winning. I guess so. Could have done without the John Beilein controversy. His rapidly deteriorating career in Cleveland. Sometimes when it just really doesn't fit, don't try to make it fit. And it didn't fit for him to leave Michigan and take a swing at the NBA in his late 60s. He was comfortable in college basketball, winning at Michigan. Very, very poor comments. He's apologized for them. I believe him, but it can't be said, and it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle, and it's going to be hard for him to be able to coach in the NBA with that team. Whether it was going well for him off the court, it was going to be hard in Cleveland for him. And how was it going to end for him? With an NBA title at 70? I know Hubie Brown was older when he came back here, but he had already been an NBA
been there,
guy.
done that.
And John Beilein had made it out there in college basketball. Also, we'll keep a close eye on old Roy Williams. He's running hot, and we'll see if he stays as kind of angry as he's been so far this year with that team. What is it you could have done with that?
I could have done without Tiger Tracker on the Golf Channel today saying about the hopes of Tiger Woods playing in the WGC FESJI.
Frightening, isn't it?
Something you retweeted is how I saw it. If Woods already qualifies for the Olympic team, he may want to skip the FedEx St. Jude Invitational because his schedule over the following month will be heavy. Also, he is playing in the JP McManus Pro-Am in Ireland.
Whatever that is.
I don't know, but it's the following Monday and Tuesday. So how is he going to get from Memphis Sunday night to Ireland early Monday morning with that type of time difference, which makes a lot of sense. So it looks like Tiger might slide us twice in a row.
It does, and that was something. And that guy, I don't whoever runs Tiger Tracker, he's really plugged in and has had good guesses through the years on Tiger appearances. He's going to play the first time this year at San Diego. No surprise there. And if you can figure out how to qualify for the Olympic team, give me the abridged version. Boy, it is complicated. Keeping a close eye tonight on a lot of things. Precious Achua against the height of Wichita State, that 6'11" post player. Tigers guard play must be solid and a lot better than it was, including Tyler Harris against Georgia last Saturday. Mentioned last time for Wichita State to beat Memphis in Wichita was January 8th, 1976. Keep an eye on Adam Thielen's injury for Minnesota. Now, almost no chance for them to pull the upset if he's not healthy on Saturday against San Francisco. Arizona at Oregon in the Pac-12 tonight. Number 1 Gonzaga late at San Diego against the Toreros, not against San Diego State Aztecs. And in the NBA, Celtics and 76ers. And Houston at Oklahoma City. Dave will be back tomorrow, and Drew and I will be back tomorrow as well. For Dave, for Drew, I'm Brett. Everybody have a safe, great, happy Thursday night. Enjoy the Tigers game, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
It's free furnace time. Hi, this is John Conway with Conway Services. Are you considering replacing your air conditioning system this spring? Well, January is one of our slowest months of the year. Our warehouse is full and our crews are slow. So to spark business during the cold winter months, Conway Services is giving away Carrier 80% gas furnaces absolutely free with the purchase of a standard Carrier air conditioning system. That's right, purchase a Carrier air conditioning system in the month of January and get a gas furnace absolutely free. That's up to $2,000 in savings. And if that's not enough, we'll include an April air cleaner, a 10-year parts warranty, and a free Nest thermostat. Plus, get your new system for as low as $114 per month or 12 months interest-free. Now, you could do that. And you know with Conway Services, you'll be receiving our award-winning service every time. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company. And the first 30 callers with a 10-year-old heating system, we'll come out and inspect it absolutely free.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Help us make room for our incoming inventory at Family